Greetings, salute. Rock and roll, baby. We are live.
Hey, everybody. We're going to break the ball again. And we have, I don't know, let's see how many people on panel. It won't give me the number today. Oh, well. We have Sleeping Warrior, Chakotayan, Elijah F., Fenris Wolf, Adam Meekin. I don't know how to pronounce that other name that sits there on Discord. Nathan Oakley, Paul Hall, Economy Racer, Rams, Syrinx or Betty, and 10th Man, and of course, Quantum Eraser. What's up?
Hello, hello, hello. What? Listen, the BALLBUSTERS Discord link is in the info box below. So if anyone wants to join and have any questions or make any claims or just parrot something, then go ahead and join. That link is in the info box below. And if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal links and Patreon links also in the info box below. Thank you. BALLBUSTERS, unite!
Yay!
Hey.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
I think we have some trigger words this week. Trigger words this week are words like ether, light, gravity. Those are the things I've heard this week. You guys heard those?
Yes.
Once or twice.
Yes, listen. Last year was a year of gravity. I christened this year the year of the ether. The ether of a love. Oh, yeah, Robin Trower, baby. Get some.
Wow.
Is this like the flat Earth equivalent of the Chinese calendar then? So last year was the year of gravity, now it's the year of ether.
Yes, sir.
Monkey and rat. Love it.
Oh, it's a monkey, all right. Yes, sir. I christened thee, man, by the powers vested in me. The year of the ether. We started.
John,
go ahead.
I got a question for you, John.
Sure.
If you stood on the beach and you're about 6 foot tall, how far's the horizon on their model?
6 foot tall. Somebody look it up.
I
Pull
can
up.
do it for you if you want. Well, actually, that's maybe a good question. Well,
it's between.
Wait
a second. It's between 1 and 3 miles. I know that.
Sure, because I get
the square root formula. It's 2.9883377 miles. If you do it properly, it's 2.999621 miles.
And what was the point, Anthony?
I have this troll. He's a well-known Balleth protagonist on a soccer account because he knows that if he makes mistakes on a soccer account, it doesn't matter because no one knows who he is. But he literally 7 hours ago, he said to me, and I quote, "Sleeping Warrior, stand on the beach. You can't see more than 3 miles. Stand on a cliff. You can see further. Globe proven. Why are you so intellectually dishonest?" Unquote. So today we're going to be questioning how valid is the claim that you can stand on the beach at 6 foot tall or whatever. Can you see more than 3 miles? And if you can, how can we prove the position that is not refraction, bendy light, and nonsense from the ball model? Today is going to be a very good day.
At eye height, at 6 feet tall, the distance to the horizon is 2.999 miles.
His claim on their model would be correct. If you stand on the beach, you can't see more than 3 miles. So let's use those words against this moron and see whether or not his claim is actually true real world. On their model with a geometric curve drop, it is true. In the real world, let's demonstrate how true that statement really is, and let's just show how wrong it actually is.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be such a pummeling, and it's gonna be over quite quickly. So we're gonna be able to move on. What we're gonna do, we're gonna unveil the #1 ball killer, and then we're gonna go into what refraction is, because people have been saying refraction for how long now? I've heard it as long as I've been here. The first day I was out here, I heard refraction. And I've watched people bring that term up and everyone appeal to refraction. I have yet to have somebody sit down and say, okay, define refraction and then list the effects of refraction. I must have asked greater than, it has to be over 200 people since the beginning. What are the effects of refraction? No baller could give them to me. They didn't know. And what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do after we beat the ball to death, because one of the comebacks I had to this argument was obviously refraction, right? They just said refraction. That's all they said. They didn't talk about, well, what type of refraction or what refraction is. You just get refraction. So we're going to go over what refraction is, how it's defined in their fairy tale worldview. We're going to list the effects that they define in their fairy tale worldview. We're going to concentrate on one of them real hard, and that is looming, right? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Has anyone heard any baller define looming?
Well, yeah, they tell us it's when they bring something back from behind the curve.
Not looming.
Really? Okay. Is that it?
That's terrestrial refraction. That's not looming.
Well, that's what they tell us is looming. If we ask them what's looming, they always say basically straightening out the curve, and we say it's not straightening out a curve. It's just flat. But they say no, it's being bent upwards from behind the curve.
I thought looming was an effect that was relative to the horizon. It's something that had to
stop pushing Einstein's theory. Stop pushing Einstein's theory of general relativity.
Yeah, Adam.
I don't want that to slip by. That's going to be the main thing I focus on this entire show. Can you repeat that, Adam, please?
I thought for the definition, it was a requirement of something that you physically saw to be raised higher above its position naturally on the horizon, not that you take it from below to raise it above. You can't do that. It has to be above in the first place, and then it's moved.
Based on their reified model, they've got an edge, a horizon, and that's what we're talking about when Anthony was describing his challenge from this commenter. The guy's describing where we will see the physical edge of their sphere. That's not what we've got. We've got a horizon. Nevertheless, in this show, we'll be talking about it in their context, i.e., under the assumption that it is a physical edge that we won't see past. And then we'll go from there. But I want people in the audience to be clear that there's two distinctions being made here. One is the reified edge of a sphere. That would be in their calculations and their modeling. The other is the horizon, the actual position where the sky appears to meet the ground, yet not an actual location.
I just point out respectfully to Adam, he may have missed the joke. You used the word relative before in your previous definition.
Oh, sorry,
I was just making the contrasting point that when someone says relative, it does not mean they're pushing Einstein's theory of general relativity. Just so we're all clear, it's not the same as being relative to someone else. Out to Bob.
No. You use relative. That means you love Einstein. You can't get out of this, Anthony. Sorry about that.
John,
peace be upon him.
Yeah.
Adam, sir,
before you start, John.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's just I was late putting up Iron Realm last night because I got in and it started to bug me because I knew what we were going to do today was the distance to the horizon information, and you know me, I hate an approximation. I hated 8 inches per mile, and I kind of looked up the derivation, and it's got two major assumptions in which I won't bore you too much with, but it was sufficient for me to say, well, that's not good enough. Square root of 1.22, you know what I mean? So I did a little bit of work and just to see how, and it is actually basic trigonometry. It's a squared equals b plus c squared, and then you just basically move it with the observer height so that the radius of the Earth plus the presumed radius, plus the height, observer height, forms your hypotenuse and adjacent, and then you just kind of calculate the rest from there. But so it's quite easy to do, but it is an approximation. So I wanted to have a little look at it, just in terms of quotation and its purpose. And I'd sent you the Excel spreadsheet, but if I'm being honest, like I said, if I did a little look at it exactly, so at 1 mile it's 1.22, and the differences are basically 24 feet, 34 feet at 2 foot, at 10 foot it's 72 feet, at 100 miles it's 229 feet, at 10 miles it's 72 feet. So the variance is negligible. So I just wanted to say, I know it is an approximation. There is accurate figures if you ever did want to start to presuppose that this horizon is the leading edge of a sphere, and therefore a limiting point. But just to kind of pre-validate what you're going to use here in terms of the calculation, it pretty much is spot on.
Right.
Certainly from an optical point of view, I don't think you're going to notice that at 10 miles there's a 76-foot height difference in the distance to the horizon.
So according to your calculations, because we're going to do, my main point is a 1 foot observer height. So in your calculations, what is 1 foot observer height? How far should the geometric horizon be?
1.22459, and you'd have it as 1.225. So 0.000041 variance of a mile. So that's about 20 footish. Somewhere around there.
20 feet. We're going to see a horizon.
Oh, you know I like to be accurate.
Yeah. Well, this 1.225 times the square root of the observer height comes from a subject matter expert, Andrew Thomas Young at San Diego State University. So it's over. It's going to be over here. Give us a few minutes. We're going to kill this ball once and for all. But I appreciate I appreciate the attention to detail, Adam. I really do.
You want to do a couple of shout outs before you get started then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Betty?
Yeah.
You got that? Okay.
I got 3 super chats that I want to shout out. The first is up for Matthew Lamonis. Thanks for all you do, QE. It's amazing how the tables have turned. Real science supports FE, flat Earth. And we have another one, Retro Bill. He says, this should be fun. Knock us dead, QE and panel. And from Amanda Young, shout out to QE, Arwin, Ranty, Bible literalist. That intro is fire. Love it.
Well, what about me?
Etc.
I'm not there either, so that it needs another super chat, I think. So
Somebody square Anthony up.
Wait a minute, and a big shout out to Mark Taylor.
We just got another super chat.
That retracted.
I thought you would. A shout out for Mason B, and he says, "Show us the edge, fundies."
Betty, I hate to be incorrect, so if I could just correct myself. I was doing it in my head, and I got the decimal point slightly wrong. It wasn't about 20 feet; it was about 2 feet. It's 2.16355 feet variance. I don't like to be incorrect, John. And certainly a factor of 10. We know factors of 10 are important.
We will not tolerate error like that.
I was doing it in my head, and I'm
Hey, but
like,
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I think he should be tarred and feathered, maybe.
Are we trying? Are we trying to
racist.
reify the globe? Are we trying to reify the globes and to find out where the horizon lies on a globe?
Yes, that's
We're
right.
gonna go swimming around in Narnia.
I think
for a
that's a
little
cue
bit.
for Nathan. Go ahead, Betty. Ask Nathan.
Ask again.
Yeah, I thought, why do we need to know where the horizon lies on a globe? right? It's just a reification fallacy, right?
Absolutely spot on. So in order to debunk this, we have to first make, as they do, the assumption that we are talking about, and it will be underlined in QE's presentation, geometric horizon. That is to say, their edge. Now, by way of reification, their ball model has a physical edge, i.e. when you're looking over the obstruction that is the ball, blocking your view. Well, we're going to be reifying that concept into a not actual location called the horizon, because that's what their model does. But I want the audience to be absolutely plain that when the words geometric horizon appear on screen, that means reified edge of a fundamentalist sphere zealot's ball.
And we have two more
Exactly.
super chats.
Two more super chats.
Betty, Betty, hold on,
Check it up,
Betty. Drop out and drop back in. You're roboting.
Okay.
Smoke him if you got him.
Okay, try it again, Betty.
I'm not connecting.
There you
Can
are.
you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
good to go.
Okay. Yeah, so two more shout outs, and they're both addressed to Anthony. The first one is Matthew Lamonis again, and he says, shout out to Anthony Riley. And the next is from Paul Hall, and he says, shout out to Sleeping Warrior.
Yay!
There you go, Anthony.
Oh, another one
Yay.
just came in.
Another one.
Yeah, Mason B did another one just now.
Okay, and shout out to Chocolate Riley, Kiwi, Sam, Betty, and Nathan. Yay!
Chocolate Riley. Is that connected to Rantony?
Yeah, it's the same sentence.
That's like the fusion.
Hey, listen, I think I got disconnected on my last sentence, so I'm going to re-say it. Nathan, are you trying to suggest that when they say things to us like, show us the edge, and we say, what edge? Because we don't know if there is an edge or not. We don't think there is an edge because you can't fall off it. But on their model, they've absolutely got an edge, and it's the horizon, right?
Correct. Fundamentalist, sphere-believing religious zealots have an edge. They constantly ask us for ours because attack is the best form of defense. They have an edge. Boats are claimed to go over it. It's not really an edge. It's a not actual location. But based on reification of their sphere belief, they have an edge.
Let's
Where's
see
the
that edge then. Let's see
Where's
the
the
edge. Come on,
edge?
let's have a look at it.
It's
Let's
going to
have a
get
little look.
it's going to get pummeled. I mean, it's going to be quick, people. This ball killer is so easy to reconcile. It's going to be over very quickly. Just because it's over quickly doesn't mean it has any less veracity. This has so much cowbell. I mean, the cow can't get up. So just preparing you.
Well, it's been 20 minutes intro. Do you want to go ahead and get started then?
that kicked on Nathan. Yeah. So, do we want to get started? Anyone else? Anyone else have anything?
Let's start with the claim. Let's start with the claim that an observer at the beach can't see more than 3 miles.
We don't have to start there. Okay. Listen, any final thoughts? Anyone? Last call for alcohol.
Shout out to Liverpool for beating. Shout out to Liverpool for beating Spurs 1-0. Woo!
Oh, goodness. All right.
Yeah, last shout out to a super chat. And it's from Mason B, and he says, shout out for Kia Live. I'm on mute. So time to begin, I think.
Without further ado.
Let's cut now. Let's cut out really bad.
It's not cutting out to the people in the audience, just cutting out to Discord. No worries. The death of the
Okay.
bald-tard spinning space monkey religion again. But this is the final now. Listen closely. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then the horizon distance measurements must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the geometric horizon. If you go to any Earth curve calculator worth their salt, you're going to get a horizon distance. I nicked it from there. And what do we have here? From Platform Habitat at 9.41 miles and Platform Hill House at 6.2 miles. Shout out to BMLS B69. He did this observation in October of 2016. And we're going to see the pedigree information in just one moment. And shout out to Taboo Conspiracy Ben. He couldn't make it today. Something came up, for stressing this to me. And all of a sudden the light turned on. So the horizon at 1 foot elevation, you can see the horizon behind these two platforms. It should only be 1.22 miles. What is it? It's greater than 9.41 miles. So the observer's height is 1 foot. The distance to the horizon is greater than 9.41 miles. The distance to
John,
the hold on.
On a ball though, John, it should only be 3 miles.
Anthony, this is 1 foot elevation observer height, not 6. So, observer height is 1 foot. Distance to the horizon is greater than 9.41 miles, we can see here. The distance to the horizon maximum for a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles is 1.22 miles. Modus tollens. We are going to eviscerate this little game with a simple modus tollens. Holy shnikes, this is going to leave a mark. If P, then Q, not Q, therefore not P. I say again. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, P, then any horizon distant measurements must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's Q. Not Q, because we just observed the horizon distance greater than 9.41 miles. That's 7 times further. Therefore, not P. i.e., Earth is not a sphere. Happy New Year. Now, before we get to any comments, I want to run the pedigree information behind this observation. This video has no sound, so don't worry about it. Just watch. That's Platform Hill House. Here comes Platform Habitat here in a minute. He's giving you his perspective. Platform Habitat, Platform Hill House, and his position. .21 miles from his position. Platform Hill House and Platform Habitat, 9.41 miles. Pedigree information at Miramar Beach near Santa Barbara. There's the kill shot. He also made a 35-foot observation. That horizon should be no more than 3.87 miles. Here we go. Live, 1 foot observation. Distance to the horizon at 1 foot eye height is 1.22 miles. Turn out the lights. The
John.
party's over. Hold on. Good night, ballers. Questions,
John,
comments up till now?
Yeah, John, we're on a ball and you can't see. You can't see more than 1.2 miles on a ball, John. You must have fake evidence.
Can we all go home now?
Could you all go home now? Booyah! That's it. Smashed.
Yeah.
It is like that, Nathan, isn't it? It's like, oh, well, yeah, we are done then. But John, I was just looking at the significance of that. And if you can just state the distance of the first platform again, is it 6 point something miles?
Platform Hill House is 6.2 miles away. Right there?
6. Yeah. Okay. I'm just right. So to get that in, just the first one, from the distance to the horizon calculator, you'd have to be 30 feet from their calculations to get it in, and 60 feet to be able to see the bottom of the habitat platform.
No. At 35 feet, the observer's height, the horizon should be at 3.87 miles. Even at 35 feet, you should not see the horizon. The horizon should be before 6.21 miles. You got to remember, the observer's height here is 1 foot, not 6 feet, 1 foot.
I mean, you shouldn't even be able to see the first oil rig, let alone the second one. And we see the horizon past the second one. So yeah, this is rest in peace to the globe right here. Done.
It's just that easy. I told you it was going to be easy. Because when you have a lie, there is always a contingent necessary fact out there that is contradictory. This is it. It's over right here. You can't get out of it. We're going to go over your comebacks here in a few minutes because I put this out to probably a couple thousand people over the past 2 weeks. The reason why I was doing that, I was soliciting responses from the ballers because I wanted to see what they had to say. So, I got a myriad of responses to it, incoherent ones, but I got 3 responses that we're going to go over here in a few minutes. Anything else on this observation?
Nah, that's it. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Don't be shy. Adam, you're quiet.
Well, no, nothing. I mean, the only thing I would say is it's a little bit different. This, whereas before they've tried to work around it with decent height and claim all of the standard refractions, all super lumens, all these sorts of excuses. This one's very, very different because the major constraint is the geometry of the supposed ball. It's the biggest factor in play that if you were on a ball, you cannot ignore that leading edge. And
Exactly.
when you're at such a low observer height, it really does magnify the effect. Because obviously the higher you go, as I think Tony and lots of other people are now doing, or it was Tim Osman, wasn't it? Or you've got to get above of that freaky refraction zone. Well, there's a reason for that, and this is the real power of this image, because it is, even with that red line where you're seeing reflection, you know what I mean, a mirage in there, but the power of it being at 1 foot really does mean that the biggest parameter and the most effect on the image, if you were on a ball, would be that leading edge. So, like I say, at 1 foot, you shouldn't be able to see more than a mile. And then you can really start to think about the impact of that. And I say that's not a false claim by us. It's a consequent of a claim that if you are going to say you live on a ball, this is a geometric consequent of your claim that you live on a ball.
Exactly. And right here, it's 7 times further. So it's impossible. The ball's dead, people. Now, ballers, you can go ahead and whistle past the graveyard by it, but I want everyone to hold their feet to the fire just with this. Just with this, it's that quick. It's painless for you, but it's very painful for them. Anyone else? Because I'm going to go over this proof one more time because it's so quick. I'm just going to do it again for clarity.
Can I do a super chat maybe?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. There's a super chat from Burn Fat till my stomach is fat as the earth. And he says, shout out to Burn Fat and all you globe killer, especially the Terminator. We are whining.
You can't reason with them.
So that's a super chat.
Thanks, Burn Fat. Okay, let's go over it one more time since everyone's a little quiet. Maybe they're just letting this marinate.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Which calculator did you use? The flat earth calculator or the earth curve calculator for these numbers?
The flat earth calculator, where is that at?
Well, then that only leaves
Exactly.
you use their numbers then, right?
I have to use their numbers to defeat their argument. If I put them on the witness stand, I'm not using any other story besides their story to pummel their story. I'm going to put them on the stand. I'm going to make them contradict themselves. And then I'm going to beat them overhead with a nail spike Louisville slugger.
So just to make it clear, you're using their numbers for their ball to prove them wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'm going to go over it real quick again, and then we're going to go over their retorts.
I've just got one question for you, John. So, what height would the first rig be sat on the horizon?
That's a good question. I think it's 50 or 60. I think it's 50 or 60 feet if I'm not mistaken. Somebody pull up GitHub Earth Curve calculator, right? And put in 50 feet observer height and see where the distance to the horizon is real quick for us.
The square root of 50 is about 7, isn't it?
I'm not doing equations right now. Just somebody do it on GitHub.
Right, so 1.2, it's going to be about 8.5 miles, something like that. No.
I got 8.7.
I'm doing it in
I
the
got
head.
8.7.
So 8.7 miles away at 50 feet. So it would be before platform habitat and past platform hill house.
Let me get my spreadsheet. Just a sec.
You don't want to let these
Okay.
people fall asleep out there, Adam.
Okay, yeah, no, I've got it. Right, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I was right before I said before. So, yeah, so to be able to see the Millhouse platform at 6.2 miles, let's just say, see the bottom of it, we need to have it on the horizon. That would mean on a ball, it would necessitate an observer height of, let's just say 30 feet, because that gives you distance to the horizon 6.7 miles. So you would need to be 30 feet high.
No, that calculation's wrong. At
Using
30, the calculation's wrong. It's no big deal. At 35 feet observer height, somebody check this on GitHub. The horizon should be at 3.87 miles. Check it real quick.
10 feet. That's 10 feet.
No, at 35 feet, not 3 feet. At 35 feet, it's 7.2. And Adam had it right at 30 feet.
Okay,
That's
sorry, I
10
got the wrong
3.
calculation down.
John, yeah, 3.87379 is equivalent to 10 miles.
Oh, I see. I
10
see where I screwed up right here. Okay, not a problem. It's still bollocks.
And so basically, to be even, so if we go to 9.4, because that's, we just said that the horizon is at the base of the furthest point, 9.4, then that would necessitate an observer height to be able to see that leading edge of the ball. You'd have to be 60 feet high.
Yes,
to give
sir.
you a distance to the horizon of 9.489 miles.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the worst part because we can see the horizon past it.
Yeah.
This is at 1 feet. We shouldn't be able to see, or the
Any of
horizon
this.
should be starting to obscure the image. Yeah, their leading edge of their ball should be starting to obscure the image at 1.225 miles based on their geometry.
Yes, sir.
It should be like Ranty's waves starting to block stuff out. It's not a wave that can rise and dip, and in fact, it's an actual leading edge of a ball that's non-negotiable.
Yes, sir. All right.
Like, do they get that out there though? 1.2. Like,
Their horizon
I
should
think we
be...
gotta stretch. We gotta emphasize this. I think.
Okay,
Just-
let me emphasize it. At this observer height,
it.
this camera, this view, the horizon, the furthest that you can see, the horizon would have to be at 1.22 miles. So, somebody go on mute, please.
Does Taboo Conspiracy? He's back, but you need to mute a little bit, okay?
All right, let me try it again. With this observer height right here, this shot, the horizon would be no further than 1.22 miles. It is further than 9.41 miles. Don't worry about the oil platforms and any miraging going on here. Don't worry about that. That's red herring fallacy to my argument. I'm only using the oil platforms to designate and to identify distances, right? The elephant in the room is the horizon and how far away the horizon is. So at 9.41 miles, that's 7 times further than you should see on your fairy tale ball. Therefore, you don't have your fairy tale ball anymore. It's kaput. Got it?
I need to ask you a question that Rumpus always asks. How would Rumpus calculate the size of the Earth using a theodolite, given what we've just been talking about?
You can't. It's a nonsensical non sequitur.
He tells people that because of the dip height of the angle of the horizon to the observer, you can make a reasonably accurate calculation for the radius and the circumference size of the Earth just by using a theodolite. Yet the horizon is way further than what we're told.
He also says the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth. So we can dismiss anything he says.
Huey, may I say something?
Sure.
Isn't this based on their number for the radius of the Earth at 3959 already?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Okay, so then you can't change that because Rumpus says, I want to change.
Just reminding the audience how stupid the claim of the theodolite is at the horizon when the horizon's in the wrong place.
Well, if Rumpus is right, then 3959 must be wrong.
Correct.
All right, we're gonna roll on. I'm gonna do this.
Can
proof
I
one.
do another super chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. And I got 2 questions from a guy, or remarks, I think. So we got a super chat from Jose Mesa, and he has no message attached to it, but he has a super chat for you. Ricky Alive, he says, just because I don't like QE doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I'm on mood, Ricky Alive. And Mason B, he's saying, so you're saying level is not curved? I'm on mood. And I have a question from Supercurve to bring up.
Well,
Can
have
you
Super
point-
Curve. Did he super chat?
No, but I think it's a nice question.
Do you? Why doesn't he come into the BALLBUSTERS? He's in Discord. Come into BALLBUSTERS, and after the presentation's over, when we open up the mics, he can ask his questions like a man.
I agree.
Okay. Well, it's just that I wanted to bring it forth.
If it involves a longer answer, I'm not going to
No,
deal with it.
I think
Go
that
ahead.
Can be, well, can you point out that the bottom of the platform should be in line with themselves and the red line if the Earth is flat? They don't line up, do they?
How could
Oh
they be
my
in line with
God.
themselves? The Earth is flat, that's
What?
ridiculous.
So
They would have to be the same distance if they were lined up with themselves. If the Earth is flat. They're not the same distance.
Duh, distance.
Yep. It
Okay,
has to do with perspective.
okay. We done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let me go through this proof real quick. Again, listen up. The death of the ball-tard spinning space monkey religion. Again, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then horizon distance measurements must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the geometric horizon. As we can see here, and on the video I just played before, the observer's height is 1 foot. The distance to the horizon is greater than 9.41 miles. Clearly, the distance to the horizon maximum for your fairy tale sphere with a radius of 3959 miles is 1.22 miles. That means that your fairy tale is officially over. I'm going to kill it using modus tollens. If P, then Q, not Q, therefore not P. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, P, then any horizon distance measurement must be no more than, that's a really important statement right there, 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, Q. Not Q, because the observer or the horizon distance is greater than 9.41 miles, right here. You see that? Therefore not P, i.e. the Earth is not a sphere. Happy New Year. Your fairy tale ball's dead. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, the guy that I was citing in the messages currently in chat, his sock account is called All Flat Tards Are My Bitches. Why don't you join the panel? Let's hear who you really are, and let's see you defend your nonsense. Because refraction isn't going to bring the horizon any higher when we've got it fixed on screen at such a distance. So let's see you come on and explain this. Otherwise, let's see you concede that this cannot be a sphere based on your own model, because the horizon cannot be that far away, and these platforms positioned the way they are. There's no refraction that's bringing these things back when they're in the foreground. They're not behind the curve, are they? How is it possible if we're on a sphere? Refraction doesn't explain this. Let's hear your explanation. Join the hangout. Let's hear you defend your religion.
We ready for the debunks? Go ahead.
Well, there is no defense to this, Anthony. No one's going to be joining and defending this position.
No, he's not. I just wanted the audience to be aware that the Ball-Tard Space Monkey religion tard is in chat right now, and he says that you cannot see more than 3 miles when you're on a beach. Well, at 1 foot on the beach, you can't see more than 2 miles. Yet we can see more than, what was it, John? 11 miles or whatever it was?
9.41 miles is the furthest platform, and the horizon is well beyond that.
Let's round it up to 11. So how is this possible on your model if your model limits the horizon to just 1 mile? Let's join the panel and let's hear you explain it with refraction.
You know what, John? We already heard one debunk for this, right? Do you remember that the one debunk that we heard for this nonsense was?
Yes, it's
the horizon's not even back there.
Yes, I put that
It's
right
in
there.
front of the.
You can't see. So the first debunk is you can't see the horizon. Now, if you can't
Shout
see
out
the
to
horizon
Zach.
out there on this shot, then you need to make an ASAP appointment with an ophthalmologist, right? Because everyone can see the horizon, right? Okay.
Shout out to Zanuck.
Yeah. That's not only Zanuck. He wasn't the only one that said that. Now, I nicked
So
this
what I
from.
heard.
I nicked this from Ben, Taboo Conspiracy. He put it was on his latest video. I think it was last week, right? So I nicked it off him. Now, I don't see that good in yellow. But if you do, I can still see the horizon here, right? I like this one a little bit better because this is well done. If you, like I said, if you can't see the horizon, then you need to take the cognitive dissonance mud out of your eyes because everyone can see it. You're exposed. Number 2, refraction. Like I said, that was the number 2 debunk. We're not going to deal with that one right now. We're going to deal with that one after the third one. Here's the third one. It's a video. No sound. I just want you to watch it, okay? Because the debunk that he posted is actually the same gentleman, BMLS 69, that took the same observation from the same point with the same camera on a different day. So I hope you enjoy this. This is really good. Now, before we get to that, I did not show this to any panel member. So they are unaware of this. And I'm going to ask them after this is over. Oh, I take that back. I did show this to Betty. Betty, I don't want you to say anything on this debunk, okay?
Okay.
Okay? I did not show this to any other panel member. I'm not sandbagging them. I just wanted to keep it real. All right, here we go.
Oh, sorry, John. Before you start, I just only because I've just heard that, and I don't know what's going on because I just had a phone call from my sister-in-law's plumbing issue, so I missed what you were saying. So what are you going to do? Play a?
This is a debunk. I had a number of debunks that they gave me over the past 2 weeks. The first one, you can't see the horizon, right? So can you see the horizon here, Adam?
Yeah, it's there. Look, it's at the back.
I can
further
see
back
it.
than
I
the
can see
base of the far one. It's not
Right.
hot. Well, yeah.
And this is the one I nicked.
Oh yeah, I'm there.
This is the one I nicked.
And just for the benefit of
oh,
Andrew,
God.
sorry, just for the benefit of Andrew Clark in chat, the horizon is not level with either platform. It's behind both of them and therefore sits above both platforms.
All right. No more comments from the chat trolls. All right. If they want to discuss this, the link is in the info box below and the room is open in Discord. Now, Adam, the number 2 comeback was refraction. I'm going to deal with that after this one that I'm coming up with. This I considered the best comeback, right? I'm going to play this video. This is a rebuttal. He said this debunks my proof. Ironically, it is from the same gentleman that did these observations up here, right? Same camera, same gentleman, same camera height, different day. Very interesting, eh? I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm going to let you enjoy it. Are you ready? Adam, you good?
Yeah, thanks for that, John. Cheers, mate. Thank
Yep.
you.
Here we go.
See a whirly whirl.
Be patient.
Still just see a whirly whirl.
Be patient.
Okay.
That is the debunk. Here it is. Okay? So, the question, does this observation debunk my number one globe killer? And I say again, words mean things. Listen closely. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then horizon distance measurements must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the geometric horizon. Does this shot right here that we just looked at in that video debunk my claim?
Aye.
Oh, I forgot to say why or why not.
Because the oil rigs themselves are at a much greater distance than that. Not to mention there's a fold line, coincidentally in the exact same position the horizon was in the original images. But the horizon, if you want to call the hard line in this particular image the horizon, then it's still way beyond that.
Anybody else?
I'm lost as to why you would post another image that demonstrates your point, John, as a debunk. I'm confused. They obviously have missed the mathematical statement and the consequence of their claim that we're on a ball of radius 3959 miles.
I can see two clear differences between the two pictures. One difference is there is a wave cresting in the foreground, and we know what perspective does. And the second one is that there is an inferior mirage of the second platform relative to the first platform, and we can't see any horizon behind that cresting wave in the foreground. So that tells me that visibility on the day wasn't as good. It tells me that the wave in the foreground is the biggest wave in the line of sight. And it tells me that the inferior mirage is blocking the bottom of the platform, and we can't see where the horizon is because of the leading edge of that wave.
That wave is, you can see the detail in it. It's a very close wave, and it's the top of it. Look, you can see, and it's obscuring so much, isn't it? It's clearly a choppy day.
The horizon on that picture.
The second picture doesn't debunk anything because if their math is correct, the first picture should have never been able to be taken in the first place.
Oh, we got a winner.
Brilliant.
Can you repeat that, Chocolate?
The second picture, in which you can't see the horizon at the same distance, doesn't debunk anything because if their math is correct, the first picture would have never been able to be taken in the first place.
Thank you, Chocolate. Thinking on your feet. What does my statement say? If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then horizon distance measurements, this key part, must be no more than, it can never be more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So, this is a positive for the Baltards. However, this is what is called a false positive. Are you tracking with me yet? Because you can give me 5 billion pictures, the same observation, showing the horizon anywhere in here. This is bollocks anyway, because it's still further than 1.22 miles from the observer. But anyway, I digress. You can show me 5 billion pictures showing the horizon closer and closer and closer. All I need is this one. And your whole fairy tale implodes. You follow that logic, folks? Questions, comments?
Yeah, Taboo Conspiracy is here. He's trying to figure out Discord. It's his first time here, I think.
Can anyone hear me?
Hey,
we can-
Ben, we got you. Thanks for coming, man.
Hey, I just loving the show. I apologize. I just have all these little problems going on. I can't even go into the details, but oh my goodness, my life has been. I've been attacked, seriously attacked for my flat Earth beliefs from many sources this week. So just dealing with those problems. But yeah, I love the show. I just wanted to point one little fact out. And that's the idea of how in the world, the most common response I get on these proof is that it's refraction. Well, how in the world can refraction remove a tall bulge of water that's in front of the first platform, and remove that bulge of water, and then make it reappear miles beyond the second platform, well beyond what the globe dimensions would allow, and then the platforms are not affected by this magical reappearing and disappearing effect? It's absolutely asinine when you really think about it, because there's no way that you can have bulges of water disappear and reappear. I mean, and another point I'd like to make is that Navy example I've used before, where can anyone point to a manual in the Navy where they're taught not to shoot at the Mirage ships because they're hopping over the curvature?
Just to answer Ben's rhetorical question, they can't. If it's a physical edge to their reified model, you can't suddenly loom up that physical obstruction that's supposed to be blocking things behind it and put it behind the things it's supposed to be blocking. It's absurd.
Thank you, Nathan. You put it so well.
And can I just point out, Taboo, you said you've been getting attacked so much this last couple of weeks for your beliefs on flat Earth. We don't do beliefs in flat Earth. We do empirical evidence. So let's retract that
I apologize.
word.
I used the wrong word. It's just
We don't do beliefs.
Yeah. I tell you. I do not believe in Earth. I tested it. I experiment. Well, sorry for that word. I've been testing it repeatedly, and it comes up flat again and again. And come on, you watch these examples from BMLSB 69. I have a few more on my channel that show even one's just as good as this. Show a horizon that's just absolutely impossible. They have no explanation for this except refraction. And the refraction argument to me is just so stupid. And also, you think about with refraction, the second platform is perspectively higher than the first platform. Did refraction do that too? Does refraction obey the laws of perspective?
Oh, Ben.
That makes sense.
Ben, we're going to take the atmospheric refraction is going to be dealt with here in a few minutes after the comments. I just wanted to deal with the first two comebacks. So we're going to get the atmospheric.
I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, no, not a problem. We're going to get the atmospheric refraction. Just hold on. I want you to see this, man, because if you thought the above was a train wreck, you ain't seen anything yet.
Can I make a quick comment? I know what it's proof of.
Who's commenting?
Proof that Paul.
Oh, what's up, Paul? Go ahead.
It's proof that actually we've all got it wrong. The horizon has the ability to morph and transform before our eyes. That's the proof. So we've got it wrong the whole time.
But that's not even a defense either, because it's claimed to be a physical obstruction. So he cannot do that. You can say that, I make up a load of nonsense, but no, it can't. That can't be a defense, unfortunately. I know you're saying it in sarcasm, Paul.
We just put out a challenge to what's his name? Where's his name there? Gently's channel. Gently's channel says that he needs to have all the high tide times, low tide times conditions listed, because if you don't, he'd ask who's turning the Nelson's eye. Gently's channel, join the chat, join the Discord, and let's have that presented to the panel, and let's see how long it lasts before it gets destroyed.
Oh, it's going to get
Give him
destroyed.
the high tide. Give him the
Hold on.
low tide. Go on.
It's about to get destroyed now. When these fundies start detailing effects of atmospheric refraction, they aren't applying that. So their defense to us is, have you got the atmospheric conditions pegged and all the details? No. You will be arbitrarily applying terrestrial refraction. Sod all to do with atmospheric refraction. That's going to get pummeled here in a moment.
John, could I just ask you to
Adam, may I finish my
scroll
point?
back? Yeah. Sorry, Buff. Go on.
Oh, it's okay. Give them high tide, give them low tide. This is 7 times more that you're seeing than you should see.
Exactly.
I'm with that. Give them more numbers that help destroy their fantasy globe. Doesn't matter how many numbers you have. The horizon is clearly past the second platform. So I mean, I'm sorry, guys. It's just done for you guys.
Well, the only way the only thing they could say is the horizon is loomed. That's the only thing they
Try
can
that
say.
one.
It's the only thing you can do. Hey,
No.
Wait.
Let me correct that. Let's just get it clear. Them saying the horizon is loomed is again preposterous. You can't move a physical obstruction that's supposed to be in the way of something that is behind it and also apparently loomed up above the horizon with the horizon behind it. You can't say the horizon's been loomed.
That was freaking stupid. But
So then they have to go back to the first argument. It's the horizon's not even back there. You can't even see it.
Yeah, you better stick with that
And,
argument.
and hope that works. Yeah. Hope that works. Don't shit at the wall. Hope it sticks.
I'm really keen for John to get onto this bit because I'm keen to get onto this atmospheric refraction bit because there's a convolution between what they use and actual atmospheric conditions, and they're never being applied, they're never being measured, they're never being documented. They're arbitrarily applying their own model's version, which happens to have the word refraction in it, but has absolutely nothing to do. So when you say give them high tide, I'm not nitpicking here, 10th man, but no, you can't, because that's not what they're going to be applying. They're not going to suddenly massage in high and low tides into 7/6R. It's arbitrary. It's based in their model, and it's based on R. Nothing to do with atmosphere. Sorry. It might have the word refraction in there, but it's not refraction. It's terrestrial refraction, an arbitrary application of 7/6R.
We're ready to roll. Listen, I want to give a shout out to the absolute blizzard I got going on outside my window. And I gotta make a drive here later this afternoon. So shout out. Thanks, big guy. All right, let's get on to atmospheric refraction. So I think this is the first time that it has been defined. So flat earthers, listen up. Baltards, you better turn away because it's going to get ugly. So atmospheric refraction from their alma mater wiki. Atmospheric refraction near the ground produces mirages. Such refraction can also raise or lower or stretch or shorten the images of distant objects without involving mirages. That is atmospheric refraction defined. So as you can see, there are 5 effects of refraction. I'm telling you, for 3 years, no baller could give them to me. It's right here. It's part of your religion. From Wikipedia again. Also, you see this number 2 right here? That's our good friend Andrew Thomas Young at San Diego State University. Listen closely. While mirages are the best known atmospheric refraction phenomena, looming and similar refraction phenomena do not produce mirages. Mirages show an extra image or images of the mirage object. Wow. Looming, towering, stooping, and sinking do not. No inverted image is present in those phenomena either. Depending on atmospheric condition, the objects can appear to be elevated or lowered, stretched or stooped. These phenomena can occur together, changing the appearance of different parts of the objects in different ways. Sometimes these phenomena can occur together with a true mirage. A quick aside. How many times have you heard baltards challenge flat earthers with, can you explain how things can disappear bottom up? Could you explain that to us? Listen closely. From your own fairy tale. Sinking is the opposite of looming. In sinking, stationary objects that are normally seen above the horizon appear to be lowered, or may even disappear below the horizon. In looming, the curvature of the rays is increasing. Yeah, right. while sinking produces the opposite effect. I got a question. When things are lowered below the horizon or disappear below the horizon, are they lowered or disappeared from the top down or from the bottom up?
Come up.
Unbelievable. Okay, we're on to looming. We're going to bypass. We don't really care about towering or stooping or sinking at this point. Because what they were saying with refraction, the only comeback that they can have is looming. So we're going to go inside their fairy tale because even this is incorrect. And I'm going to show you. But even inside their fairy tale, it's a contradictory bollocks. Watch. Wikipedia, their alma mater, looming. Looming is the most noticeable and most often observed of these refraction phenomena. It is an abnormally large refraction of the object that increases the apparent elevation of the distant objects and sometimes allows an observer to see the objects that are located below the horizon under normal conditions. Did you get that yet? It's not the horizon that's looming. It's objects looming above the horizon with looming. That's even incorrect. Hold on. Hold on. From here's our good buddy again, and Mick West, good buddy, Andrew Thomas Young at San Diego State University. He's gonna do it for us. Looming, the apparent appearance above the horizon of a distant object that would normally be hidden below it. So guess what? The friggin' horizon doesn't ever loom. Ever, ever, ever. Right? So there goes your refraction argument above. That kills that. We're on to a different argument now. Listen to this second paragraph. This effect is caused by unusually large, and Nathan said it before, he was all over it, terrestrial refraction. So looming is caused by terrestrial refraction. Let me finish it off. Usually due to a thermal inversion, looming is the opposite of sinking. Both are refraction phenomena, but not mirages. See the table of refraction phenomena and the simulation. So, this entire looming nonsense, which is factually incorrect in their fairy tale definition, because this isn't what looming is, people. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. But let's destroy their definition right here with terrestrial refraction. Why? This is a stone cold begging the question fallacy. Does light refract? Answer, yeah. Is that the same that can be accounted for by terrestrial refraction? Answer, nope. Keyword terrestrial. You see, terrestrial refraction already assumes a sphere. That is, the calculations assume the radius of the Earth. That is the curvature. Back to Andrew Thomas Young, San Diego State University. Boy, I wish you were here, sir. This is going to get ugly. The atmosphere is also curved, as it follows the shape of the Earth. In the calculations below, we'll adopt the rough value of 6,400 kilometers as the radius of curvature to make the calculation simple. Professor, you're assuming the premise, the atmosphere is curved, then by proxy, Earth curvature, to prove the conclusion true, that is terrestrial refraction or looming. That equals a textbook begging the question fallacy. Circular banjo, do-si-do. I'm going to stop right here. Comments, questions?
I had Rumpus over a barrel on this only 2 days ago. So he essentially claimed that terrestrial refraction was the cause of atmospheric refraction. And there it is, now I know why. But basically, it is exactly as you stated, a stone cold begging the question fallacy. First assume Earth's a sphere. Then assume the atmosphere wraps around that sphere. Then assume that light's bending at 7/6 of the radius of the sphere you first presumed. Then claim that's the cause of looming.
He was gaslighting without a container.
That's all they ever have. That's all they ever have. I know QE's pointed this out a few times, but first and foremost, shout out to Validation Boy, who was the first to highlight this to me. Every single claim to be globe proof ever will start with the presupposition that you're on a sphere. This is no different. Sorry, Chocolate, go ahead. I'm done.
I was just going to say, even if you allow the presupposition of a 7/6R, you're looking at islands or whatever you're looking at, is the R value for something that's at sea level or 50 foot the same as the R value, and therefore the ratio of rate of change for something that's at 100 foot, 500 foot?
No, it's not.
If you've got that, no, exactly. So even if you're going to scale over height of things, then every single point that you need to plot on that, say, skyscraper, has a different R value, and therefore would be subject to different imaginary.
John, could you play the video again?
Maybe they have a moving edge.
Play what video?
Right.
No, I'm not playing another video. No.
Platforms one.
No.
Okay.
In this case, Chocolate, they've got a moving R value, because the R value is generated by the radius, supposed radius to sea level, the ground. Yeah, but then that R for the next optical object that's 100 foot higher is R plus 100. So your 7/6R is a different rate of refraction. Now it's very small, but it is different.
I brought this up the other day, Adam, when you were discussing Chris Monk's modelling of the Isle of Man, and you explained basically that in his sphere version of the model, he's taking a LiDAR representation and just dropping it on. But essentially, you've got the distance between some B's and the Isle of Man, 31 point something miles, and from there on in, it's flat. So yeah, you're calculating radius up until the first point, but ultimately the way you've then got to measure it out is just a consistent value rather than not exponentially. What's the word? Not exponential. I keep getting that wrong. Just an increasing amount of R that should be applied as you get further away.
On his, the cumulative drop effect ceases at the point where the observer meets the Isle of Man. So it's laid onto a curved map there. At that point, the next imagery that's laid on is then on a flat plane, because it was taken from imagery taken from reality. So unfortunately, it's flat. But what Chris said, because I asked her, I said, did you try and bend it on? And he said, no, it was too complicated to lay that flat LiDAR imagery on top of the ball that he created from the observer to the start of the map. It was, they're not compatible, are they?
No. No. And
So
go ahead.
So you're missing the cumulative drop, not exponential, wrong word, but the cumulative drop. And also, as you rightly point out, your radius increases as you ascend.
So yeah, the important bit there, I'll refer it to those two, because I did a little bit of maths on those two the platforms. So when we talk about cumulative drop, the distance to the 6.2 in terms of geometric drop is only 25 miles. And the distance in geometric drop to the 9.6 is 61 miles. So it starts to increase via the rate of the curve, the drop. So even though there's only 25 foot geometric drop from the observer to the 6.2 mile platform, from the 6.2 mile platform to the 9.6, from the viewpoint of the observer, is actually 35 foot drop between those two things. So in Chris's map, what doesn't happen is the continuation. So the point you reach the island, that applied curvature ceases to be applied on his analysis. So all of the stuff where they pretend they can even bring bits in the background back on his model negate the fact that the back 10 miles has not got that effect applied to it.
The way they get around that in the mathematics is you have one target at a time. So if you were to run these through the maths, you're not running both of them, because you're no longer getting the views that we're presenting in terms of a horizon. In the Earth curve mathematics, the way they work in orthographic view, you only have one slice. So therefore, if you're running the maths for Mac called Lighthouse, you run them as a single slice with you and the target. And then if you're running Snaefell Mountain, you just run you and Snaefell Mountain with one line between you and it. Whereas in reality, there's, as you put it, a cumulative drop that has a differential that's completely ignored when you run the maths that way.
In
Hey.
terms of
Yeah. Can we get back on to looming, please?
Sorry. Adam's ace.
Looming doesn't exist.
Yeah, because that was the subject. They're looming, and what looming is in their fairy tale model with what it actually is. That's because we already destroyed their refraction argument. The horizon doesn't loom. So the number one ball killer is left unscathed. You cannot refute the number one ball killer, Baltarge. Your religion's dead. All right. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun with your refraction nonsense. Refraction. You don't know what looming is. Neither does Andrew Thomas Young. Just to let you know. Ben, are you still out there? Any comments before we get on with this?
No, I apologize. I'm just enjoying the listening to everybody. Now, shout out to P Brain. Saw him in the chat. Just love that guy.
P Brain, you need to contact me, sir. I've been trying to get in contact with you. You need to contact me. Betty.
Yeah,
Make
I was
sure we
already in the chat.
Yeah, make sure we get some contact information for him, please. Thanks.
Thank you.
He wants to, but not now. It's not good now.
Not a good time. Okay, yeah, but we can still talk to him, right? Okay.
Sure.
Yep.
Proper shout out for him. Let me just do a proper shout out for P Brain. So P Brain's proper OG flat earther. He's been around as long as I have, if not longer. So, you know, his videos were very influential to me in the early days. He's still making really good videos now. We've used a lot of his examples in Flat Earth Debate. He's ace. He's in the chat. Go and click on the 3 buttons and subscribe to him immediately. Now, all of you.
All right, we gotta cook on this. Okay, so
Hey, Kiwi, I just had a quick question. Are you going to run through the math of it at all on what size the alleged globe would have to be if that horizon was at 10 miles?
no, I didn't. Ben, we did that the last time on the last video. I'm not going to do it in this one. But
Okay.
But go ahead. You don't have to run. Go. What would it have to be, Ben? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I do. It's 264,000 miles would have to be the range.
So
104,000 miles in circumference.
In radius.
Radius. Bloody hellfire.
Yeah.
That's the biggest R I've ever heard of.
Repeat that one more time for anyone who might not have heard that.
Well, you're running through the
Please.
Pythagorean theorem. If for the radius of the alleged globe at an observation height of 1 foot, looking at a horizon that's 10 miles away, the alleged globe would have to be 264,000 miles in radius. I believe it's at what, 33,500 miles right now?
Pete, listen. On the last Ballbusters, Ben put up all the mathematics to what he's claiming now. So go to the last Ballbusters and you'll see it in there.
Okay, I'll shut up now.
No, you don't have to shut up, Ben. You're good to go, man. I want to hammer on this. This is going to be really funny. This refraction, right? So we already destroyed it. Their definition of refraction, even inside their fairy tale, is incorrect. We just pummeled it, right? What Andrew Thomas Young is saying that refraction does is things are beyond the horizon of the fairy tale ball, and this light does the whoop-de-doo over the curvature and lifts these objects up that you normally won't see beyond the horizon and lifts them up above the horizon, and it makes it look like they're floating, right? So, Wiki right here. This is Wiki's looming right here. This isn't looming, people, right? There is no fake horizon. This is just a picture. These boats are just on the horizon. There is no fake horizon. I don't see anything looming here, right? This is nonsense. Let me show you what looming actually is. And thank you very much for jumping. I appreciate that. Everyone has seen this picture before, right? If you haven't, well, you're seeing it now. This is looming. Now, there's a little trick in the military that we used for night operations called off-center vision. I knew it long before the military because I did a lot of night operations. I digress before I got in the military. But off-center vision. Now, if you just look right here and use your peripheral vision, you can see the actual horizon here. Can't you?
I was going to say that.
Huh?
I was going to say that. I was going to say every time this gets put up, I hesitate because, number one, I'm colorblind. So often when it comes to these things, I just keep my mouth shut. But yeah, absolutely, you can see the horizon. You can see where the horizon is for this boat.
It's right here, people. Off-center vision. This is a more difficult one, but I can see it. Just look here, and you can see the horizon out of your periphery, right? You can see it, right? Now, even the great Mick West, he has this same photo. Now, what he was arguing here was the media was calling this a Fata Morgana, and he is correct in the bringing that up and telling them they're idiots, right? There's no inversion here. Fata Morganas have an inversion, and he's correct. This is not a mirage. The real horizon is here, right? It's the same one I pointed out. You can see it in here on off-center vision. However, if you adjust the contrast levels, it brings it out further. Now, what I don't want you to pay attention to is this little statement down here. He identifies the false horizon, which is correct, but he calls it due to fog. Mick, if you're listening, if this was a fog, you wouldn't see the boat, friend. Unbelievable. All right, so let's try another one. Everyone seen this? This is from the Scottish Open, July 2014. I want you to look at this one over here. Don't worry about this one to the right. Over to the left. So in July 2014 from the Scottish Open, this is easier because I don't even have to use off-center vision. I can see the horizon right here. Everyone see it? Right? This is too easy right here. And what they did was they didn't contrast. They color corrected over here. It's the same thing. There's the horizon. This boat isn't flying up in the air. No rays are coming from beyond. No light rays are coming from beyond the Earth curvature or the ball and curving over the ball to present itself above the horizon. That's not looming. This is looming. I'm going to define it here in a second. Right? So everyone got this. This is an easy one. The best looming I've ever seen is this photo right here. And it's funny because Betty made a comment when she first seen it. She said, these boats are being raptured. Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. It looks like it. But listen, we've got the same scenario here. I don't have to use off-center vision. I can see the horizon. It's right here. Right here. All that's happening here is the sky is reflecting down off the water. You can see the clouds in here. Yeah, it's jumbled up a little bit. It's a collage, but you could still see them. And if you would raise your altitude, your observer right here, it's all would change because the angle of incidence of the light off the water will change, right? These boats aren't floating in the air, people. No rays are coming from beyond the ball curvature and presenting flying boats to you. That is not looming. You're on shrooms if you think that's looming. I defined it for you right here. This is my definition of looming. And just go with it and you tell me if I'm wrong. Looming is nothing more than an optical illusion produced by the sky being inferior mirage underneath an object, giving the appearance of said object floating above a false horizon. This is my definition. I'm sending it in, and it's as right as the rain. Comments, questions?
That's great. Ranty would be proud. That's an excellent definition of looming.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't throw it out there as a definition of looming. What I would describe it as an excellent definition of what's going off in the pictures we've been viewing. Irrespective of what you want to bloody call it, that's actually what's going off. We're getting an inferior mirage underneath, and that leads back to, for me, there's very little detail to be observed in that. And you'll see it's always in the distance and only comes so far into the foreground, and it's to do with, for me, it's to do with observer angle and how much data is trying to be packed in there, and that's where you tend to see the mirroring occur, where we're starting to see those data limits being stretched, and the confusion. And yeah, so I won't care what it is, but it's what you've defined looming as, John, for me is an accurate description of what's giving those images.
I just
Moreover-
wanted to make one point here is actually a question. The looming, isn't there a looming where the object inverts and appears higher?
That's not looming. That's a Fata Morgana.
Oh, is okay? That's not the same thing. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
One thing I did want to point out, though, is with that supposed looming, if it was objects being raised up above the Earth, if it was a sphere, wouldn't that look quite wild? I mean, you see objects that would raise up and they would look like they're in a spherical. You understand what I mean? It would look like it's spherical. They'd be at different heights. Instead, they appear like they're on a flat horizon. I just think that's funny.
Correct, Ben. If what they describe looming when they juxtapose it with 7/6R was actually what was occurring, number one, they'd be in different positions as they bent at the different rates around that sphere. But correct in terms of how what we're seeing here is merely an angle of instance as described by QE, creating a reflection that makes it appear like the water's vanished because it's a reflection of the sky. But if it was actually looming based on 7/6R, then things would actually be bent up through the million layers of glass that's apparently changing the light so it's perfectly curved into the sky. In other words, you would have actual floating boats based on their light being bent through all these different layers. So yeah, it would look pretty damn wild if looming was actually terrestrial refraction. It's not. It's an actual effect that's being shown in these pictures, not 7/6R. But you're right. If it was, it would look pretty crazy.
Thanks, Nathan.
What's going to be really interesting, now that we've pointed out the horizon point, how many other pictures will that point then apply to? Because there's always things in the foreground, like boats on boat passages and things that we can demonstrate, we can measure. How many times are we going to see the horizon in a different place to where it should be? Now we can apply that principle to everything and come back and just go, your own model's debunked again, and they're all going to have to deny it, and they're all going to have to ignore answering the question like it is in chat right now, and I'm going to sit here and smile at you morons because you deny your own model.
Should we give them a special shout out, Riley? Because it's amazing how these guys are literally denying position of the horizon in that picture.
That's why I wanted
in that video.
That's why I wanted John to put it back on screen, but he wouldn't do
it. It's fantastic. They're literally going back to the horizon's just not there. It's not there.
Yeah, John, they're denying that the horizon is behind the second platform when it should be like right in the foreground because it's a mile away. They're denying it, and I wanted you to put it on camera, just on screen again, just so that everybody could see that the morons in chat that are denying where the horizon is, they can't get past this. No refraction explains it. No looming explains it. The horizon must be a mile away, and both platforms must be behind the horizon. Yet we clearly see that the horizon is behind the second platform, and that second platform is best part of 10 miles away. It debunks your model. No refraction arguments are valid because it doesn't change where the horizon position is.
Anthony, it's right here. They have to deny that the horizon is behind this second platform. Everybody in their mind, I don't think you have to have 20/20 vision to see the horizon here.
What you've got in that picture, just leave it up for us, John, because it's a bit like when Ranty and the guys started to do their low elevation.
Exactly, you got it. I was just going to say that, Adam. You're going to steal it. Go ahead.
Well, I'll get a bit mathsy with it as well because it really does undermine the point this photo. So if you look at it, you can see that the observer's kind of looking up, and that does two things. It helps increase the angle and stretch the horizon further by increasing the observer angle, because instead of just looking down into the distance, you're actually partially looking up into the distance. You're no longer looking down, and that is the most fundamental point of this. Because when you do the maths, the trig on this, the higher you go, the more that angle of the observer increases in terms of looking down. And that's a requirement to keep looking over this edge that's they can't geometrically deny. And that's the purpose. So the higher you go, the more you can look down, so the more you can actually see, so you can peer over more. Now, as you can see, it's looking up, so it's not got a horizontal shot. It's actually got a shot that's slightly elevated above the horizontal, which would mean you get nothing in terms of observing over a ball. Everything falls away.
Look what
you
else.
get none of the apologetics that you talk about the assumption of 7/6R. You know, every single photograph that you're seeing here is always the assumption that the center of frame is angled down to the maximum distance, so that the horizon, as they call it, which is their leading edge, is center frame. So mathematically, that's how they would describe that picture. And this one, again, just destroys that.
It does. And then similar to Ranty's, check this out, is when I was looking at this, Ranty said when he got down to his 1 foot elevation for the 18-mile shore to shore, that he got underneath the nonsense, right? He got underneath the crazy stuff that was happening. And this is the same type of scenario. Look, he's underneath it. Where is all the nonsense happening? Look at what happens to these cranes. They're all bent. They're all warped right up here. So what happened is he got underneath that nonsense, right? You see all this stuff happening right in here? This crazy, these things are bent and distorted, right? But it seemed like he got underneath the layer.
You know, the only thing that I can think of that gives you an idea of an example, you know, when you see a gas stove pumping out its fumes, and then just above the hole where it's coming out, you can see right through it. It's almost clear. But then above it, where the flame is igniting, it's a complete mess. Now, obviously, that's an extreme example, but we've got a similar scenario, right? The water's giving off gas, but the lower you go, it seems that you're getting below where it all starts to, I don't know, interfere with what you're actually seeing. So yeah, it does very much seem like you're getting underneath the layer of crap.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, before we end up, I want to go through the proof one more time, and then we'll end, and then we'll have everyone in Discord that has any comments or questions go for it. Okay? Any problem with that, folks? Let me do this.
Just be aware, guys. Just be aware how many times this can be applied to other photographs. So be watching for the horizon as well.
One other point, just to go on to from what Anthony said, and it gets me to use one of my favorite phrases. So in terms of them saying, no, the horizon isn't there, they have to deny the evidence of their own eyes to believe the Earth is a sphere.
Oh, I'm having the best time with it. It's so funny to watch. They're just in literal denial.
On that one, mate, on that picture there, yeah. So, to believe if you're on a ball, then what's happening is from 1.2 miles, everything's looming up to say what should we call it? 15 miles, where we would say the horizon
can't be
is forming. Just
can't be.
Well,
even in their fairy tale, Adam, can't be.
We all know it can't be. That's going to be the conclusion. But let me make his example. Go on, Adam.
But it's looming up from 1.2 miles in a very, very consistent manner to as if it would appear to be flat. And then at 15 miles, it stops looming. All the looming stops, and it creates a leading, well, it just stops in their viewpoint, because what they can't suggest is that horizon any longer is their leading edge. So for me, for a baller, what is that?
Perfect. That's the
Right,
conclusion.
for them.
Where we get to the point where we can make a firm conclusion. The horizon is not the leading edge of a sphere. That is the conclusion. Now, in their reification fantasy of a sphere world, the horizon must be the leading edge of a sphere. And these images demonstrate admirably it can't be.
Beautiful. Yep.
Time for 2 super chats now.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me find them. So I got a couple of them from Cleary. Whatever floats your boat, he says. And then Mason B. Gravity was on mood in that picture. And a double laughing face. Flat on Flat Earth says, boats don't go downhill on the water. Whoa. And Elijah Freeman says, brilliant. Now I get it. Here's a hot coffee. Hopefully you get one.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
One other came in. It's from Grave Dodger, and he says, the fact that no Globers are coming on to argue their corner is evidence of how devastating this presentation is to their model. QE rocks.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Appreciate that.
I want to give extra kudos to Ben, because I didn't get this. And by the sounds of the intro that QE gave, neither did he, and it was stressed to him by Ben. So the penny has dropped for us thanks to Ben. So big shout out to Taboo Conspiracy, because it's him that stressed this and kept reiterating it till we got it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yes, sir. It's Ben. Yep. Most definitely. And BMLSB 69. I seen his video when it first came out. It didn't hit me. The importance of it didn't hit me at that point. I just went on to the 1,000 other baloney arguments, right? But I seen it again. I always went back to it. I always looked at the horizon distances. And just when Ben did his presentation in Dallas, I said, wait a second. This is beautiful. I like the simple elegance of it. It's really quick. And like I said, shout out to Ben. You're the man.
Thanks again.
The beautiful part about it is that it's so quick, so simple to understand that Ben, you've got these guys in chat literally denying their eyes. This is bad, because the first time I heard the rebuttal was, oh, the horizon just isn't back there. I was like, what? Are you kidding? But then I realized who I was talking to, right? But I mean, to see it now in the chat, it's like it really is a testament of how bad this is for you guys, because they have no rebuttal. There's nothing you can say. It's a wrap.
Cognitively painful. I mean, I do want to express a certain amount of empathy, because there is no way out of this.
That was not empathy, Nathan.
No,
I tried.
All right, listen, guys. I'm going to go through this one more time real quick, so it's painfully clear, and then we'll move on to the rebuttals. I can't wait. All right. The death of the ball-tard spinning space monkey religion again. Listen closely. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then horizon distance measurements must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's your geometric horizon. There it is right there. Observer's height, 1 foot. Distance to the horizon is greater than 9.41 miles. The distance to the horizon maximum for a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles is 1.22 miles. That's it. Modus Tollens time. Holy shnikes. This is going to leave a mark. If P, then Q, not Q, therefore not P. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, P, then any horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, Q. Not Q, because the horizon distance is greater than 9.41 miles, as we've just shown. Therefore, not P, i.e., the Earth is not a sphere. Happy New Year. Thanks for your year. Have a
Smoke
nice
if
day.
you got 'em.
Hey, QE, can you put that image of the BMLS B69 footage again? Yeah, that one. Well, anyway, I just want to make the point one more time, just in case people didn't grasp it. Look at the second platform. It's perspectively higher than the first platform. So if according to the globe model, that edge of the globe sphere should be well in front of the first platform, well in front of it, and should be obscuring quite a substantial bit of it. But instead,
and that's what I worked out earlier for you, mate. It's 9.6 and 6.2. The secondary platform, due to the effective cumulative curvature from the point of the observer, the secondary platform should be 35 feet lower than the first platform.
wow,
The first platform should be 25 feet lower than the observer. But even so, with cumulative curvature, that second platform should be 61 feet below the observer, but more importantly, 35 feet below the second platform.
And yet it's perspectively higher than the second platform is perspectively higher. That's just absolutely impossible on the globe model with this idea of magical refraction and present this false flat Earth. How in the world could it also present perspective changes like this that could not match the globe in any manner whatsoever? Anyway, I just wanted to make that point.
Hey,
This is the
Ben.
point, Ben. If we were subjected to a presupposed 7/6R, and those images are then bending up at their different rates to render, as we see, the equivalent of a flat plane where horizon is created by perspective at distance, that isn't the case. It would render up with the differential of 7/6R minus 6/6R and their relative differences. So you would start to see the differential of 1/6R in terms of the distance and we talk about cumulative effect of curvature. Well, you'd get a kind of cumulative effect of the image created based on 1/6R differential from the cumulative distances from the observer on that image. So you would never get a rendering that equates, even with their 7/6R, to a flat image. You would get something that's curving up slightly.
Just respectfully point out as well.
If 7/6R existed.
I just respectfully point out as well that when you use the word relative then, in that context, it doesn't mean that you're pushing the theory of general relativity by Einstein.
I am not an Einsteinian.
No, but it's been said that somebody said that I push it because I keep using the word relative.
I appreciate the joke, but hold on. No, so what they do in terms of their vernacular, Adam, is they use a word called flattening. Now, what they're actually doing when they use that word, at least cognitively for the person they're arguing with, is using a term that conjures up the image of a geometric flattening. In other words, the land's being straightened out to present itself in this way. Now, that's the actuality of the presentation we look at. It is flat. That's how it's presenting itself. That's a fact. Now, because the light bending can't achieve that effect, they use this term flattening so that they can geometrically roll out the land that should be curved when they're saying it's the light bending around and it looming. So they've got this whole cluster screw to essentially flatten out what should be curved. Because it isn't curved, it's presenting itself in only one manner and one fashion. Flat.
Ben, I hope you don't mind. I nicked this photo from you.
I never mind. Don't ever worry about that.
Hey, now imagine this photo taken with 1,000 nanometer infrared filter. What do we see?
because they're complaining about the horizon line. It'd be nice to get this in 1,000 nanometer infrared, like a replica of this.
Yeah, that's why I wish more people were out doing this.
We
Hey,
don't need
Ben,
them
can I
anymore,
ask-
Ben. Ben, it's over right here. It's a wrap.
Hold on, Chocolate, you there?
Yes, sir.
Repeat your point from earlier.
My point about the second picture trying to be some type of a debunk for the first picture.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, that's them not saying anything really. The second picture doesn't debunk anything because the first picture is literally an impossible picture if we live on a ball.
It's a wrap.
It's just a wrap right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, it's a wrap.
There's
Would have to be
nothing
the
you can
case.
say. Even if you can't see the horizon in the second picture, all right, that's nice. But in the same spot, at the same elevation, you see a horizon past a platform 9.41 miles away. Impossible. When you have an edge, because that's what you guys got, right? You got an edge. Your edge is supposed to be at 1.22 miles, guys. We're seeing past 9 miles. Who knows how far away that horizon that we see in the picture, that we can see in the picture, for all you guys that deny it now, because this is going to be great.
If they've got
So-
a geometric what now?
An edge.
An edge.
Really
So
clear.
these fun have got an edge that's totally impossible with these pictures. I see. Fundies with edges, eh?
I don't want to be rude, Chocolate, but there is no if. The only if is if you live on a ball. After that if, then there is no if about an edge. You have to have an edge if you live on a ball.
Exactly. So
And
the question is, where's the edge?
They've
Let's just be
reified a
really
not
clear.
actual location that in this instance is considerably higher. They've reified that not actual location into this ball edge that we don't have. And that's very problematic when it clearly shows Earth is flat and is physically impossible if it's a geometric edge, which it isn't. It's an arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground, as opposed to a physical, geometrical, measurable obstruction in the foreground that somehow has jumped between two oil rigs and then presented itself, apparently loomed, beyond where the original obstruction should be blocking everything. This is a complete cluster screw, globe heads. You're screwed. That said, empathy must prevail. And I know there's going to be a lot of people in the Discord server. Hopefully Paul is on her top game to keep these people controlled. But yeah, we need to, I know they're going to be chomping at the bit. So we should really, say, come on, guys, let's hear it. This is going to be making its way into the Flat Earth Proofs. So the video that's underneath all of my debates and under QE's videos, Flat Earth Proofs, that'll need revising now. This is a serious deal. This destroys your heliocentric religion of a sphere Earth because you don't have a geometric edge.
Let's not forget that if it was a sphere and the horizon was in the right place where it should be on a sphere, both the platforms would be level and they would be falling behind that edge. And they're not level, are they? They're in the foreground.
No, Anthony. This is what I want Ben and Taboo to clarify. You said that for this image at the 9.41 miles, you rounded it off to 10, I think, from a 1 foot level, that the radius of the Earth would go from 3,959 to 264,000 in radius?
Yes, 67 times larger than the alleged size of the globe Earth.
Wow. So that's what would have to be.
Oh, but the point I was making was that for this to be consistent with a sphere, both the platforms would have to be level with each other at the horizon, and that's not what we see.
No, for this to be consistent with the sphere, it would have to be 264,000 mile radius, because then they got their math wrong, because it's a sphere.
You're arguing an equivalence. You're arguing the equal and opposing argument. We're both right.
Yeah.
What Tenth is kind of saying there is he's kind of like intellectually honest. Is actually from this picture, from an actual only taking on the facts that we have from this picture. The only thing we can say is that if it is a sphere, it has to be a sphere bigger than that stupid number that was just quoted.
No, that's not right either. Sorry, Adam. No. If you accept that the horizon is not actual location where the sky appears to meet the ground, is a physical geometric edge of a sphere, then the radius of that sphere would be, Ben?
264,000 miles, or 67 times bigger than the alleged size of the globe.
Ergo, this position which moves is not a geometrical physical edge of a sphere.
I've mentioned this before, and I always repeat myself. I apologize, but looking back in history, how come no one ever thought to actually try to measure the globe by trying to measure the minimum size to the horizon?
I can tell you why.
That would be the most logical thing that anyone could ever do to try to decide, well, how big do you think the Earth is? Well, why don't we go ahead out there and measure it and try to measure how far it is to the horizon, and then we can extrapolate from that how big the globe is. Nobody ever attempted to do this. Doesn't that say that our history has been lied to? I mean,
they hijacked it. They attack is the best form of defense. So they doggedly, 2016, asserted horizon dip arguments. No one's actually doing it, but they just assert the maths. So they claim they have done it. And they're telling us as though it's a sphere proof. It's like every bloody thing we're finding out at the moment. They've got the worst, crappiest argument. So rather than conceding that they've got an edge that they need to reify, they tell us to give us an as. And in this instance, it's the same bloody thing. They've got this massive problem with a not actual location that moves that needs to be a physical edge. So rather than leaving it out there for us to discover, they asserted it to us in debate in 2016 like it was a globe proof.
They'll use like the nonsense of Eratosthenes, the idea that you can measure the size of the Earth by the angle of the sun based on a well that was 600 miles away from him, and then he just somehow knew that the sunlight was hitting the bottom of the well 600 miles away from him, and then from that you can measure the size of the Earth. They use that as, with a straight face, saying that proves that we live on a globe. But no one ever thought to actually just try to measure the Earth itself. And they'll say, well, there's refraction or something that might block it or create this false horizon. Well, how come the refraction doesn't apply to what Eratosthenes was doing then? So anyway, I just think that's fascinating to me, that you would think that somewhere in history, somebody from Eratosthenes to the present would have went out there and tried to measure the size of the Earth. I guarantee that there were people, and that they were finding that it wasn't holding up under the math. But
Ben, that somewhere in history is happening today, right now, on this show.
This does feel historic. Anthony, are you there? Sleeping Warrior.
Yes, I am. I'm here.
So you can recall where this very argument we're presenting now as a globe killer was presented to us as globe proof with the horizon dip arguments. You can recall this, right?
Rumpus was the lead protagonist on that point.
He always is. When we find that he's asserting that refraction is caused by terrestrial refraction, essentially, and then you find a quote that's presented by QE to devastate the argument, you know why. He's towing the line with the standard rhetoric. Well, in this instance, he's used this very argument as a dogged claim to be globe proof. So they take their shittiest arguments and spin them around and throw them at us like with an attack, with real venom, because it's where their worst weaknesses are. Only recently we've discovered this with Coriolis effect and a couple of others, where they've got a really weak argument, the edge, most importantly, they throw it at us. This is the reason why there's more layers to the controlled op narrative than we realize. Why are we being asked for an edge? Why is it that we're having models foisted upon us? Well, because they've got a massive glaring weakness in their argument that involves their geometric edge. So why not turn that around and attack us with it? So we don't get to this point where we go, hang on a second, this geometrical physical edge that you need to be obstructing things with these arguments is a not actual location. It moves. And if we took it to be a actual physical edge, in geometric terms, you'd have an enormous sphere. It's preposterous.
If you think back to
I
this, the other
I
way
want
claimed-
to point out. I want to point out real quick that usually we don't even get to, well, us over here, we don't get to this point in the argument because we ask a question every day that we have a hard time getting an answer to, which would be, are there any signs of the R value, right? And we don't really get an answer to that. We usually get a lot of nonsense and gish gallop, as you guys like to say, but we don't ever get a measured R value. Now, today, this is us giving you that R value, right? And letting you guys assume that we live on a ball, right? With an R value of 3959, your numbers have destroyed you. Or I should say your fantasy magical spinning water ball in a vacuum fantasy. Okay? So this is us swimming around in Narnia and destroying it from within. So have fun with that.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun now because the audience is gonna hear the rebuttals.
Hear it. I'm keen.
Can I have one last follow-up to Ben?
Pretty quickly. Go ahead.
It'll be real quick. Ben, Ranty took a shot from 1 foot and saw 18 miles to horizon. Would that change the 264,000 radius if you did
Yeah,
math to
absolutely. It would increase it exponentially, actually. But you'll have to, I've watched that video, and I really want to try to pinpoint something where you can measure that's the horizon all the way to the certain object. I didn't see it. Maybe if you have that point, you'll have to send it to me because I would love to make that point again. I have watched that before, but I didn't see a certain landmark that I could use to prove where the horizon was. But maybe you have that.
Do you have one thing before you move on, John? It's a little bit of a political thing within FE, but look at the channels now that don't jump all over this to promote it because it is a killer. It is a killer proof, and the channels that don't promote this, just wonder why they're not jumping all over this because it's black and white. It is massively debunking their model. Black and white. There's no arguments. They can't argue refraction. Let's see which channels don't push this, and then let that tell you a story about who's up for truth and who's not.
That's a good point, Anthony.
Yeah, Tony. I look forward to Jose's discussing this one.
I meant within FE. I meant within FE, not the enemies. Within our side.
Not often I get to ask these sort of questions to all the ballbusters, but would this not make an excellent question? Any signs of the edge of the sphere?
Yes. Do it.
It changed it.
Any signs of an edge? I like that. It has a nice ring to it. Any signs of an edge, fundies?
Have we got any? I've looked down the list and I don't know. Is there any globe heads in there?
Well, I do want to. Well, I don't know if there's any Globers in here, but Ladder of Data did want to say something earlier. I don't know if you want to allow him to speak.
I do want to get to Flat Earth Data, but by the same token, if there is anybody that wants to
For the
offer
rebuttal,
do you want to hear those?
I got you. Yep,
I've got a rebuttal.
Baller.
Can I ask for some clarity on your new housekeeping question, Nathan? I assume your evidence for an edge wouldn't just be a horizon which appears to match at the equivalent distance where if you were on a ball. I'm assuming you actually would like some kind of definitive physical example of the edge as opposed to a horizon that in some cases, and certainly not the one we're looking at, would match.
You answered your own question because you said appears, so that answers itself. The other one is I almost qualified it by saying physical edge or geometric edge. I'll work on the phraseology, but for the purposes of humour, I didn't. But yes, you're right. It will be phrased such. Any signs of a physical edge? Maybe you could take us to that physical edge. Maybe hook a tape measure over the edge of it.
If you take a straight line, it'll intersect, won't it? As by
Or give us the
trigonometry.
address. Give
Or
us
like
the
chocolate
address to
chips,
the
right?
edge.
Give us the PO box of that edge.
Yep.
That physical edge.
There you go. Sir.
Listen,
Any ballers in here?
listen. In the
Hey,
info, oh, listen up. Hold on for a second. In the info box below this video, if you have any rebuttals, there is a link to this room. This isn't an echo chamber. We want to hear it. And we want the world to hear your rebuttals to the death knell. Because if there's no rebuttals, bye-bye to you ballers. For good. Okay?
Hey, QE.
Yes,
there?
sir.
My daughter wanted to add something.
Go ahead.
Hear that?
Now.
How old's your daughter? How old is your daughter?
She's 5.
5. Okay.
Does she have something to say, Ben? What's her name, and have her say it?
Harwin.
Anyway, sorry. She just wanted to say on here and say hello.
What's her name?
Hearing from her. I heard her.
Earth is flat.
Earth is flat. Yes, it is, girl.
Now, in seriousness, is there any ballers in the panel? Let's start working our way down. I don't know who's going to take charge of unmuting them.
I've
We
unmuted
got,
the first one back, Krish. And he left.
He left. He left immediately.
Might be a short rebuttal session, but at least we're well into it.
Watch for the mass exodus now as they all leave.
I just
Yeah.
watched that. I started suggesting it. They all started dropping
Wow.
off.
They really left.
You
Because there was like, I just counted, there were 3 of them at least, and none of them are in here now.
They're all gone.
There is. I said this to Anthony right at the start of the show. There is no defense to this.
No, I'm like being completely serious. There's not one baller. Everyone that was in here before just dropped.
F data,
But-
Mike, or yours, I reckon.
What we also need to point out
Oh,
is
wait. Brackish, Baz Krish, I'm sorry, has just come back.
Okay, Brash,
Baz
Krish.
Baz Krish, can you unmute?
And share your pain.
Come on, Baz Krish. The fate of the ballers in Discord chat is on you, sir. Unmute.
Ollie, why are you waiting for him to unmute? I've put my baller head on, right?
Mhm.
And I was trying to think of a defense because this is hard, really hard.
No, it's no
To-
fun coming from you, Adam. You're actually
It's all right.
smart.
No. If we any baller defense, I want to hear Adam's. Go ahead.
It's
All right,
pathetic,
cool.
chocolate. Don't worry.
Good,
But the
nice
only-
and
the only
pathetic. Keep
thing-
it authentic.
thing that springs to mind is when this week Tony was there and on Ranty's show, and they had Ruahif on, and you know Ranty's showing some observations, and the only thing I heard was no, you've got to go to like 30-40 feet, as we discussed earlier, because you don't understand how refraction works, Ranty. And it doesn't work. It works differently at those lower levels, and that's why these images appear. Now, obviously, there's no substance or qualification with that, but literally, that's the only. And respect to Ben here. But I mean, this was Nathan. We discussed this years ago when I did my maths formula, the viewpoint. But without the work of people like Ranty and Riley and the show discussing all these things and getting to clarity on looming, those kind of obvious geometric issues for me were never understood because they could always bullshit their way with 7/6 are this, all these presuppositions that always brought the image back into view past that viewpoint. And I'm not decrying Ben because, mate, the way he's made it clear to people is brilliant. But I think, guys, without, you know, Riley, Ranty, and the debates actually highlighting this and discussing it and chewing over the details to get to clarity of what we're seeing, how we're seeing it, and why, I don't think the sheer geometrics would be a sufficient destruction. But with the knowledge we now have and the understanding, yeah.
Completely agree. You've got to have the images. You've got to have people out there, boots on the ground, doing this stuff to make any sort of progression. And that's what I was trying to allude to when I was saying to Ben, when I rudely interrupted him mid-flow, to say, no, they did do this. They just, without his images, without him compiling other people's images and making the point, you only have their assertion with their maths. And they use that as an attack. So in other words, this debunking literally is being used by globeheads and probably will be somewhere tomorrow as a claim proof of the R value and how to measure it. Believe it or not, this utter horse crap that completely debunks their model is used as a claim bloody globe proof. That's how they do it. Their worst arguments become an attack on us. Edges, same principle. Coriolis, same principle. If Earth's spinning, shouldn't stuff be deviating away from me if it's hovering? Well, it doesn't do that. Well, that's a big problem. So what do we get? An assertion that Coriolis proves Earth spinning. Bonkers. Use their worst arguments and assert them as proof.
Let's ramp this up a little bit, Nathan. And let's ramp this up a little bit. Let's put a little bit of risk on the line. Let's pick our favorite number one baller, whoever that might be, and we'll charge him with not being able to answer why the horizon is behind the second oil platform. Doesn't matter who. Let's just pick someone, and what we'll do is we'll get everyone in chat to bully him to make a response video. Who should we go with? Let's
Dean.
Who?
Well, Riley, there's only for me. I'm surprised that the Queen of Modern Tollens hasn't appeared to address it.
She's not a big enough protagonist. We need one of the bigger, like somebody like Red's Rhetoric or whatever. We pick someone that can't answer this and demand that they address why the horizon is behind the second platform if it's supposed to be just 1 mile away and the platform's nearly 10. So let's pick someone and then charge them to answer it.
Do you remember the guy who came on and modelled Ranty's observation of 18 miles and essentially declared quite openly that we need make no explanation for this as flat earthers? Well, that dude, the same dude that went away following day and immediately started asserting bull rhetoric, having been completely annihilated on flat earth debate, that guy, Dean, you know who I'm talking about?
He's not around anymore, though, is he?
Yeah, Stingray Dean. Yeah, that retard's
Not around anymore.
Yeah, he's
I'm
around.
thinking, like, the main.
Yes.
The main protagonist would be the likes of Red's Rhetoric or somebody of that kilter, because we want to charge these people with an answer. We want to, how is the horizon behind the second platform if the ball is what they tell us it is? Let's just pick someone. I'm going to suggest Red's Rhetoric.
Red's Rhetoric isn't.
Yeah,
I haven't heard him in years.
Okay, so maybe not Red's then.
Where is he? Dean is still around. I heard him yesterday.
He's on
Girth.
He's on Jose's, mate. I've seen him. It's Stingray.
He's not a big enough protagonist.
Dean can quantify his answer with a little model that I can have a good chuckle at. I want to laugh at one of Dean's models.
Is he big enough, though, in the protagonist field?
No, he's not.
But needs to be somebody that can be a fall guy.
It doesn't matter.
We need a nominated fall guy.
A certain
I'll nominate Fight the Flat Earth. Who else?
A certain bald guy.
Yeah, we need to nominate a fall guy.
What's your name on Discord, Riley?
Cat's Killer.
Riley, I'll take anybody, mate, that's prepared to bring their model with an R value of 3959 and justify that model with those images. I'm just interested to see if anybody has any validation how we can see those images if we're on a ball with an R value of 3959. I don't.
About conspiracy cats.
I agree. I say we put it to everybody. I think Adam.
No, it's got
anybody.
Oh,
no one's coming.
Where's your edge?
One at a time. One at a time.
Me.
Mick West.
Right. I think I had a good name there that's big enough and could quantify it in some way. That's Cats. Cats could do that.
Conspiracy cats. I agree.
Yeah.
Anybody disagree?
Anyone.
It doesn't matter. There's no defense for this.
But we need a fall guy.
The whole globe
Sleeping
just
Warrior
fell.
likes to poke the bear. So let
The
him have
entire,
The whole globe just fell.
the entire spinning ball-tard religion, whoever conforms to it is under the yoke.
I've got it. Simon Dan. He's the fall guy.
Oh God, he can't even put a gate together.
Let's put it.
Let's
Well,
give
we've
it to
got a list
Simon
of people now. Hold on, let me just summarize them because we've got 4. We've got Mantits, we've got Conspiracy Flaps, we've got Dean, and we've got Simon Scam.
Man, Dan, he's never done any science in his life. Let's see him do a bit of science and explain why the horizon's behind the second platform if it's a ball.
And Cats and Dean, get your modelling hats on, and Mantits, I don't know, ask someone to get you some help.
Right, so let's formally charge Simon Dan to do a little bit of science and explain why is the horizon behind the second platform if the Earth's a sphere. There you go, Simon Dan. Let's see your input to society and let's see what you can do on topic and answer the question. Don't answer any other question. Just answer why is the horizon behind the second platform and answer that.
I'd like to challenge Fight the Flat Earth to go to one of the citations of somebody that seemed like they were intelligent in this presentation and interview them about the question we're asking.
Yes.
What do you mean to like try and disprove us, but then fundamentally at the end of it all, it turned out that we're correct and his citation and interview proves our point?
Yeah, but we can't obviously
like with gravity
debunk any of this stuff himself, but we can obviously get him to go and delegate it to somebody that we can use as a much more authoritarian stick to beat him with. That's much more fun.
What was the summation before? Is take his reference point and use it to contradict himself. And that's
Here's
what he
what's
did last time with George.
Here's what's happening, Adam, as a summation. No one's coming up, and we are trying to act like ballers, trying to figure out what ballers would say, and we can't. So now we're nominating the ones that won't come up. Where are the ballers?
Krish actually just.
Can we listen to some of the people who've been patiently waiting in Discord for an eternity to actually say a single word to us? Flat Earth Data, for example, who said he specifically wanted to add something ages ago.
Hey, Xanax here.
I'm here, yeah. So I just wanted to say, like, the apparent convergence is a great position to bring up because the 1.22 constant is related to the Rayleigh criterion. Do you guys know, besides the Rayleigh criterion and the Ari's disk experiment, where the 122 is derived from, and that sits inside the curvature calculators?
Fill us in.
I thought the 1.22 was tied to the radius.
So here's the thing: it's the perfect
hang
hijack.
Hang on. Is the 1.22 tied to the radius or not?
It's tied to the diameter, and I'll explain how. So if you take the diameter, 7,918, and you times it by feet, turn it into feet, 55,280, you'll get 41,807,040. You square root that again, you'll get like a 6654 number. You divide that by feet again, you'll get the constant 1.22459. Now, the Rayleigh criterion it uses this constant 1.22. Now, if we just use the height of the observer, unaided with any lens, because you're looking at observations done with lenses, we still have an apparent convergence with the human eye. And what's a really great example is if you look at any, let's say we take 1,000 square mile footage or a section of Earth and we look at the zenith position from it, you could have a 6-foot observer stand there, and you're looking at his head. And if you're at 100 feet above him looking downward, you will see his radius line of 3 mile outward. At that 3 mile point, there's a convergence there. There's an apparent cloud touching the ground there. Now, what I don't hear a lot of is the measurement or the hijacking of our eye. The 8 inches is actually, you can find this in geodesic algorithms. When they went to go actually measure the Earth, they actually use this as a logarithm, the 8 inches. And really what it is they're not accounting for vision at all. And what happens is objects below a focal point in the eye or above the focal point of the eye will converge into a center point. This is a geometric constant. This is something that is fundamentally with all humans, and it's unrelated to like the surface of the earth. It's just a constant of our human eye. And one way you can confirm this is just look at blueprint constructions of long hallways. They're flat, plain pieces. You will have a divide 30% below, 30% above your center focal point position. These are geometric constants. At 1.22 is a hijacking of a flat circle. And the reason why I know that is because when we personally elevate in a hot air balloon or whatever, we do see an apparent convergence, the clouds and the ground touching. Now, if we took an experiment, we had 3 individual observers at different heights, one at 6 feet, one at 150 feet, and one at 300 feet. All 3 observers in real time will all see the apparent convergence. And this is over a distance of 40 miles. So you're having 3 convergence points, and nobody thinks that your eyesight is not responsible. It's just, once you see it, you cannot unsee it, how easy it is to see that the only way to have several convergence points or several apparent horizons is on a flat extended plane.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was good.
That
I'll
was-
disagree. I'll just disagree with one point. You said once you see it, you can't unsee it. Well, this got them actually unseeing things that they see. This has them denying that they see the horizon where they see it. They're saying it's in front. It's not there. They've got to do everything they got to do.
Zanuck is on the panel. Zanuck is on the panel. Let him.
Zanuck. Hello, Zanuck.
Perfect timing. Where's my
Well,
2
before-
G's?
before-
And look at the thumbnail that's up on the show. Perfect timing, Zanuck.
Before we move on to Zanuck, just to address that point, because
Before we do, I want to say,
that's
I want
awesome.
to give another kudos, man. That was the most concise description I've ever heard. Massive kudos to Flat Earth Data. I've sat through 6-hour presentations from other people who've described the same thing and got to the same conclusion. That was the most concise I've ever heard that described. That was epic. Thank you so much, Flat Earth Data, for your input. That was brilliant. I'm sorry we kept you waiting so long.
Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
what I
that was
wanted to
good,
say,
brother.
dude. And just ask you a question. Do you think, suppositionally then, is when we back calculate maths and ask the question, where did R come from, whether that limitation of the eye is the reason they built their model the way they built it, or one of the?
Well, according to some geodesic surveys in the early 1900s, they obviously couldn't get high enough until 1933. So they were still using long steel pieces with water and chains to measure the surface of the Earth, according to this. And in the geodesic surveys in the early 1900s, they clearly state they use Euclidean geometry to measure the Earth. But what's interesting, like I said, in the logarithm data, there's the 8 inches there. So what I noticed through any of the surveying, they're not surveying perspective. They're not surveying the focal points of the eye, the geometrical principle that we observe daily. They're already calculating it as curvature. So what you see is the constant search for curvature and a way to prove it, not the other way around.
On, absolutely correct. They've hijacked perspective. Ranty has danced around this with visual presentations that say the same thing. In other words, he shows how the maths in the curve calculator will show how a man will disappear at the same exact calculations the perspective will have him vanish into that point where the sky appears to meet the ground. Well, that's the point you're describing, and the point that's been hijacked when you put it into Muppet vision. It removes all aspects of perspective. In other words, you're not getting what you see anymore. You're just getting the mathematics of curvature, which are actually perspective.
Well, everybody has to realize that that wave for a 6-foot observer that is bouncing the light back to the observer is in a straight line to the point back. If that angle of that light becomes too acute to resolve, it creates a banding effect. It creates a diffraction of the light. So we can stand at the shore, we can see the human eye has a limitation to angles of light.
in a ragey kind of debate with conspiracy cats, we got to the point where he was asking me what diffraction was. And the context is this context, i.e., my context for diffraction is the diffraction limit. This point, which is calculable in the Rayleigh criterion, where you will lose resolution, things interfere. Well, to summarize it in a way that would be beyond me at that time would be to describe so succinctly what Flat Earth Data did at its opening gambit. I'm going to say it for a third time. That was beautifully summarized.
You're too kind, but thank you.
John, could you confirm that you'll put the description in the description box? You'll put the link to the original video so that all the ball-tards can pass the message on to Simon Dan that can't answer the question for us.
It's already there.
Thank you very much, sir. Gentlemen, I have to drop. Thank you for your time. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, Anthony.
Hey,
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 sorry.
Zanuck, are you there, Zanuck? Why don't you come on? You're always not shy before.
Got his $2,000.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess he's not coming on because he owes him $2,000, or he's not coming on because this killed him.
You have to call them in the right manner. Reference frame, reference frame, reference frame.
Chocolate.
Coriolis.
Any
No, it
other
didn't work.
ballers?
Challenge to this. We have got a couple of ballers, surely.
Zanuck is disputing it, but he's apparently still on mute.
Really?
How
That's
can you
funny.
dispute something if you're on mute?
He might
Hold on,
be
Tentman.
counting up the money that he
Oh, there
owes.
we go. No, okay. Flat Earth Data, you compliment him as being accurate and great description. No, it's completely incorrect. 1.224 is not the same as 1.219. They're two different numbers. They're close. It's a coincidence they're close, but they're not related to each other in any way, shape, or form. Number one. Number two,
Zanuck,
I already gave
Zanuck, they are related. Do you know why? Because I can take my height and I can square root it and I can times it by the diffraction of 1.22
It's
or what's
close.
in Rayleigh criterion. I get 2.89 miles, brother.
It's close. It's not the same.
I
Just
get
because it's close
2.89
doesn't mean
miles.
it's the same.
Now I go
This is
higher.
the problem with you.
I
You,
go no,
you see
you're wrong,
things,
dude.
therefore you think they are.
You're
No.
absolutely wrong because
I'm
guess
not wrong.
what?
I
Let's
gave you
use
the
some
numbers.
math. Let's use some math.
1.22459 is
You
not
can
the
take
same as 1.219.
1.22. You can take 1.22 and times the square root of
I know
any
you
height
can.
you're
It's
at,
close. It's not the same
and
number.
you'll get.
Are you looking at
Hold
the
on,
chat?
hold on,
I'm
Pepsi.
trying to be cool here.
Hold on,
You're being
Zanuck
obnoxious.
and Data, both of you a second. Just 1 second. Right, I'm sorry, Flat Earth Data. You're going to have to concede this one. So he's correct. Yeah,
Thank
they're
you.
not exactly the same. And if you plot out the actual geometric curvature with 8 inches per mile squared and perspective, they're very slightly deviating up to about 1,000 miles, where they start to radically deviate. But there are differences between them, and he's correct. Now, your point is that they're very, very close, and that's why they've hijacked it, Zanuck. Yeah, they're not exactly the same, but that's why they've hijacked it. It's close enough for the maths.
No, you can calculate the 1.22 for the curve calculator and by using the numbers that they have. It's an imprecise way of doing it because it's a parabola figure. The 8 inch per mile squared creates a parabola. It's
Okay,
not a
do your calculation right now.
You're already wrong. Why are you trying to
do your calculation?
Hold
Hold on. Do a calculation. Listen to me.
You're already wrong. Why are you trying to double
We'll see how wrong
down?
it is. We'll see how far.
Zanuck,
We'll see how
shut
far
up.
apart it is.
Somebody put him on mute right
We'll see
now.
how far apart
I'm
it
not
is.
going to say anything. I'll be
So how
quiet.
far apart is it for a 6-foot observer? My math works out to be 2.98 miles timesing the 1.22. What is yours at 6 feet?
It's about 3 miles. What's the point?
I'm sorry, your curve calculator says 2.98 miles, you moron.
No. What number are you using?
Conclusion,
man.
Zanuck. So
The Rayleigh
conclusion.
criterion number is not one.
Damn it, to where they say Earth curve starts to come into effect based on these maths. Now, your argument is that they're not identical. Well, so what? You've got no perspective in your Earth curve maths. They've hijacked it, mate. And it's close enough in maths. That's the reason they've hijacked it.
Is that not my point, Nathan? That was what I'm saying. That it's that derivative from the human eye of observation that they've used to define the fact and derived the shape of the Earth based on it. If you walked away from me for a mile, due to the Rayleigh criterion and diffraction, that the breakdown, I'd missed the bottom 8 inches of your legs.
Hey, Zanuck,
With my
question
eye.
for you. Sorry to interrupt you, Adam. Question for you. Your curvature calculator, does it equate to the convergence of the clouds touching the ground? Because my 1.22 would conclude that's a byproduct of perspective. Therefore, the convergence is part of the 1.22. Does your curvature calculator convey that in its math, that the ground and sky apparently touch?
No one has ever said the clouds touch the ground at 3 miles except for you. So I don't know why you keep on saying that. That's incorrect.
Apparently, the clouds and the ground apparently touch. This is the definition of horizon.
They don't.
This is the definition of the horizon in the
No,
Merriam-Webster
that's not
dictionary.
the horizon.
Oh,
The
please,
horizon
somebody go to
is-
Merriam-Webster
Look,
dictionary right now. I'm on my
you're
phone.
gonna-
I can't
you're
do
gonna
it.
educate yourself
Go to
on
Merriam-Webster
science by
Go to
going to a
Merriam-Webster
dictionary.
Okay, one at a time.
It
I will
says-
not have this on my show. Listen
It
to
says
me
the-
closely. Andrew Thomas Young of San Diego State University. If H is in meters, that makes the distance to the geometric horizon 3.57 kilometer times the square root of the height in meters, or 1.23 miles times the square root of the eye height in feet. It's over. You understand me?
That's
John,
not the Rayleigh criterion.
John, the 3.5 are constants, okay?
When you're ready.
1.22,
No, they're not constants.
and yes, they are constants.
1.23 he just said 1.23, and Rayleigh criterion is 1.219.
1.22.
They come from they happen
1.22.
It's coincidental.
Okay, shut him up.
3.57.
Shut Zanuck up. Stop him right now.
John,
That's ended right now.
Can I address what I've just heard?
Please.
We've been waiting for a long time for ballers to come in, and actually what they've come in with isn't an addressing of the point. What they've come in with is to try and argue the point to see if there's a difference between the Rayleigh criterion and the actual geometric construction, which is what I've alluded to. The geometric construction is a backworking based on the consequence of the human eye's Rayleigh criterion.
Exactly.
Do we all
But
agree? Do we all agree?
It's very interesting that the ballers have come in, and that's what to want to argue about, why those two numbers are very similar. Who cares?
Who cares?
They're clearly
Exactly.
very similar. And as Nathan said, and I alluded to, it's obvious why the
Well, it's
numbers are
important.
similar.
It's important,
The-
John.
Hold on,
because
Flat Earth Data.
The ball didn't have a matching number that's similar to the Rayleigh criterion. They made the numbers of the ball up based on the Rayleigh data, yeah, so that it did match up when you looked at it.
Well, they didn't do that in early studies of egocentric distance, which is the study of objects rising in the field of view, and the spatial relation with the eye does, and the spatial relations to the objects next to other objects that are moving away from the vision. There is a calculation where there's a rising to the ground, and they didn't do it over my research. I can't see the 3 mile study on it, but we know as an observer that there's a 72-inch rise. You can actually, so if you're 6 feet, the horizon is going to rise up to you. If we look at a flat grid, you're going to see that 72-inch rise. These are geometric constants that are never discussed. This is just the actual fundamental geometric constant of the eyeball, and it's just not discussed.
Understood. Understood. You made your point. It was a great point, but that's not my point. That's not the point of this discussion, is to argue over 1.22 or 1.23. It is the geometric horizon. I just told him, right? What is his explanation of why the horizon is beyond the second platform, please?
You're seeing water, you're seeing water, you're seeing particulate, you're seeing fog. That is obscuring your vision. It's
We
looking
see the
like
horizon.
You don't see, you think you see a horizon.
Oh,
It's
we
not the
think we see the horizon. Yeah, we do. You
And
are
we have a
either
clear-
blind or retarded. Everyone
We have a
sees it.
We don't.
Zanuck, say, I want you to say it, Zanuck. Say it. The horizon is not beyond the second platform. Go ahead.
The horizon is not beyond the second platform.
Woo, Zanuck, bro.
QE's already done this for us. Thank you, QE. And let's keep it concise on the show. So he picked option 1. Deny the evidence with own eyes. Option 1. Dong, dong, dong. Well done, Muppet.
Yeah, man, that's bad. That's a bad look, Xanic. It's clearly right there, man. I don't even believe you have this level of dishonesty.
Have him say it again. It is on screen right now. Tell everyone looking at this that the horizon is not beyond the second platform, please.
Zanik, could you tell me if it's not?
Hold on a
where I
second,
can see
Adam.
it?
I've seen a lot of pictures. What picture are we
Where
talking
it
about?
is.
What picture are we talking about?
Can someone post it in Discord?
I'm looking in Discord now. I don't see a picture.
It is on the live stream.
Oh, I am not on the live
Well,
stream.
then get
Apologize.
there.
Hey, I'll get there.
By the way, Dean is an excellent choice. I think Dean is one of the most dishonest Globers I've ever met. He's the one who actually curtails. He goes out of his way purposely to curtail a conversation based on his understanding of what a flat earther is saying, and then takes the flat earther through that, knowing full well what he's doing. So he's a great choice to have be asked this.
He's a retard.
Yeah, I would imagine that what he does is cognitively extremely painful for him, but he does it anyway.
Well, that's what I find hilarious, because he goes out of his way to purpose. He knows the Earth's flat. That's why he goes out of his way to try so many different ways to show you that it's impossible to be flat.
Zanik.
I'm looking at it. I can't see a horizon. I gotta be honest
Okay,
with
thank
you.
you very much.
He doubled down on it. He doubled down on it. He
I
can't
can't
see.
it. It's too blurry. I can't see it. There's too much going on. There's so much refraction and mirage.
Refraction.
Yes, there's a lot of refraction going on.
Moving.
Look at the cranes on the outside left.
Don't worry
Look at how
about the
they're
cranes.
big.
We're looking at the horizon.
Hey,
Now that
Zanik,
one
why
you
don't you
see a horizon? You can
Zanik,
see that
why don't you
horizon
tell
on that
him-
one for sure.
Why don't you tell him that you think the convergence of the sky and ground is Earth curve? Why
Hold
don't you
on a
tell him that?
second. 1 second. He said that he could see the horizon. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, you did.
The second one, you definitely can see whatever the horizon is beyond those two platforms. You can't really.
Thank
see
you very
exactly where the
much.
horizon is.
That's the death of
Okay.
your spinning ball religion. Thank
And
you.
that is not.
Same picture.
That's it. So basically, if the horizon is a physical geometric edge, it cannot be there. So option 1 was the first option. No, deny that you can see it. Now that he's seen it, that's it. It can't be there if it's a geometric edge of a sphere. It is there. The Earth is not a sphere. Well, I mean, obviously, this position that's arbitrary and moves quite randomly, depending on conditions, could be used to extrapolate out that that is still a physical geometric edge. But then you'd have a gibumongous sphere, and none of your reified sphere edge will be matching with the stars anymore. But that's a different issue. So it's not a physical edge then.
Welcome to Flat Earth, Zanik.
No, that picture is not the same as the first picture, and it's not at 1 foot. So you can say it can be written that it's 1 foot. Doesn't mean it isn't.
Oh my God.
Oh, no, that's a new one. That's a new one. Deny the video of him taking it from 1 foot, where it starts, he gets on his knees, gets the camera by the water, and then zooms into it from 1 foot. Deny that. Well, that's been presented on this show, Zanik, so that's pretty useless. We didn't anticipate people denying the video footage that we put up, but there we go. That's a new one that we didn't anticipate. Next.
What? I'm busy. I'm on a phone call. So
I wonder if Zanik feels this way about NASA videos.
no. Well, I can see why you feel that way about NASA videos. 'cause
I don't
you
want to
can
hear
find
it.
things I can't find.
Shut him up.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's
Hold
your
on a
fault, 10.
second. Well, let me say something about that picture.
No,
So what I
we're
see-
done. We're done with you. Shut him up.
You don't hear what you want to hear. You
No, I
mute.
don't want to hear anything from you. I want to see 2 G's in my account. That's all I want to hear or see from you. Next.
Yeah, the ballers. Is that it? If we Buster 2? You a baller?
Nah, looks like he's a flatty.
You know what? I'm gonna have to get you a spoon and up out and start clanking. Ballers.
I was thinking about that earlier. Get the bottles.
Come on. It's the only way we're going to get them in. Be the Pied Piper.
Anybody else? Anyone else in Discord? Any other ballers in Discord? You can go to the Flat Earthers after that. That's fine.
Xanix's the only baller here.
Anyone else in Discord that want to make a comment? Claim, question? Go ahead.
I made the room a little bit bigger so that maybe others can come in.
Thank you. And remember,
I've taken everyone. Just 1 second.
Go ahead.
Taking everyone off mute. So Betty, if you can be prepared for when we're rounding out and stuff to pop them back on. But for now, off server mute. If anyone wants to add anything, now's your chance. Just everyone else who's talked already, and just give them a few moments.
the link to the Discord server is beneath the video below. If you'd like to join the conversation, you are welcome.
Yeah, but that was a pretty obedient tone there when last the horizon was in front of the platform, and he said, "Yeah, the horizon's in front of the platform." That was real obedient.
Oh, well, what else? What else can he say? What else can he say? They have to deny it.
What I like is how they deny Google Earth elevation from shore to shore, how it's perceived to be completely level and flat. I did a video where I wanted to see how tight the angles were over a certain distance, putting the camera to about 0.5 feet off the ground. Of course, when you go to Google Earth and you measure shore to shore, which is less than a mile, it was not even a 3-mile lake, but maybe 0.7 miles, 7-8 miles across, completely level in the elevation. So it's just, we have a flat Earth map right in front of us.
Yeah, we did that last week. See last week's BALLBUSTERS? That was the flat Earth model was Google Earth. We already did that.
Hey, I think it's episode 8 or 9 was BALLBUSTERS covering Google Earth as the flat Earth model. Now, don't get me wrong, it was done in slightly tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, your point that you're making, Flat Earth Data, was literally a whole BALLBUSTERS episode. But as you've used it to plug one of your videos, so yeah, subscribe to Flat Earth Data. I've got a show starting in about 20 minutes if you're watching this live, which is on my secondary channel, Nathan Oakley. Subscribe today. So yeah, 10 p.m. UK time. I think that's going to be 4 p.m. Central Standard.
Yes, and that's how long the show is going to go. We got 20 minutes left. So again,
perfect.
So again, in the bottom of this video, in the information box, it's show more, and the link to the Discord server and this room is right there. Please join.
Just a reminder for anybody using Walter Bislein's calculator as well. If you go to use Flurspective and you use the flat Earth version of Walter Bislein, he also uses the 8-inch formula for Flurspective, just so you know. Go look at it yourself. Type in 1 foot, 1 mile away. It's 0.122456. So he's using the curvature formula as the flat Earth model.
And I got a couple of shout outs to do.
Go ahead, Betty.
Chats.
Yep.
Okay. So we have Viram, and he says, the ball is on moot. And Rakia Live says, shout out to Cleary and his super chat. Cleary started Rakia Live, pass and moot.
Is he nesting?
I don't know.
Also, to anybody using Flat Earth Sanity Calculator, he also tries to use Flurspective, meanwhile using the 8-inch per mile curvature formula as well. So Walter Bislein, all these calculators are using 8-inch per mile square. And then they're trying to say that we invented the 8-inch. It's priceless.
How many times have you heard that that's the wrong formula?
Well, if it doesn't match observation, your model's wrong, right?
Right. Have they ever given you a correct formula when they tell you that it's wrong? Oh,
Never.
okay. I was just checking. Because
see
I always ask. I hear that a lot too. And
Well,
I always ask, so where's the right math? And
Well, exactly. So an easy way to get them out, the easy way to get them out is saying, well, listen, I want to scale down a section of Earth over 110 miles. Can I use the 8-inch formula there? Because they say it's only good
Right.
for certain distances, right? So they're like, well, why do you want to scale down Earth? And I said, well, I just want to see if I can scale down to match observation. So if I make a miniature version of Earth, I should be able to match observable reality if it's Euclidean geometry. If it's a sphere, it won't be, it'll be too dramatic. If you go too big, you go too much, it won't match observable reality, right? So taking a section of 110 miles, converting it to kilometers, 177 kilometers, doing a 1/100,000th scale, you end up with 177 centimeters. So there's two ways you can break down the tangent line from position A to position B to get drop, right? According to Kerr, because we're not measuring observer's vision. We're actually just modeling a section of the Earth based on its math. We're not adding an observer. So ironically, when you do scale it down and you do take natural dimensions of Earth and use plain Euclidean and put your observer height, it all matches observable reality. And so anybody can take a section of Earth, scale it down. If you got tall objects and whatnot, there's only two ways you can break down your drop on the tangent line. And it's either taking the drop at if it's 110 miles, they claim the drop's 8,064 feet. 1/100 scale is like 0.0008, which is like 2.5 centimeters on the tangent. Well, if you have an object that's 4.5 centimeters, which is in reality 4,500 meters, but it's 4.5 centimeters on the scale, you won't see that drop on Euclidean, which matches reality. But on the globe, if you modeled it, you would see that even drop even more. And that 4.5 centimeter object that's off into the distance would be you wouldn't be able to see it. So,
Flat Earth data. Flat Earth data. Yeah. Thank you. Is there anyone else that has anything to contribute? Jose Mesa, shout out to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, along with Betty's server. Jose, anything, sir?
Can I delete the server already?
Yeah, it's a wrap, man. Smoke if you got him, brother. We're done.
Maybe some counseling is due.
Jose, Elijah, Chocolate, Buster 2. Does anyone know who Buster 2 is?
I think he's a flat earther.
Buster 2, any comments, questions?
I don't think so.
He is off mute. Everyone's off mute. Elijah already contributed. Laggard. M1. Is M1 there?
Do you think a lot of people understand that their eyes receive light, John?
Flat Earth data. Hold on 1 second. M1, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Any comments or questions?
No, it was a great show, and I learned a lot from it, and I want to hear more.
Thank you. Omega Genesis. Omega Genesis going once, twice. Are you there?
Great show, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. Rams, are you there?
Yep. Great presentation. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
You are very welcome, sir. That is all. Oh, we got Andrazi. Are you there? Going once, going twice, Andrazi.
Yeah, I think he's new, so he might have problems with the talking.
Okay. John, great name, by the way. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we got you. Go ahead.
I think really their last bastion in this whole thing is to actually go to their current science and then start trying to claim that what we see is because of special relativity and start trying to say that the Earth is flat because the sky looks curved.
Okay. Any comments on the show, on the horizon distance?
Oh, no, you crushed it. Good job.
Thank you, sir. Execute 72. Are you there, sir? Or ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Any comments or questions concerning the show?
Yeah, just the one. If I pretend to shave in the mirror while you presented that, does that mean I could just ignore it?
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to have a shave, but no, that was very good, QE, as per usual. Cheers, mate.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else that I missed? There's people jumping in and out, so I'm trying to get my sea legs with me. Let me see. It doesn't look like I'm not shocked. I'm disappointed. The link is in the information box below this video. This is a dagger in the spinning ball-tard space monkey religion, and no one's going to defend it. Listen up, audience. No one is defending that. Now, we already know it's irrefutable, but hey, at least go out with a fight. Right?
And try to give a better fight than the horizon's just not there. Danik. Because everybody could see it. It's right there. Right? And again, that picture should have never been able to be taken. So,
I
rest
think,
in peace, Globe.
I think Adam had something to add.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't me. I've got chickens.
They're coming home to roost.
All right, Betty, do me a favor. Can you put all the non-ball busters on mute, please?
Yep.
Ball busters, final thoughts. I'm going to go right down the list right here. Chocolate, final thoughts, sir.
Yeah, you already know. It's a wrap for the Globe. Just this one video destroys you guys. And again, this is us swimming around in your little fantasy and giving you this R radius or this R value and using that to destroy you. You can't even figure out how you got this R value. So we give it to you and you get destroyed. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm sorry, but not really. So, yep. Great job, Kiwi. And shout out to Ben and I don't know the guy's name that actually did the video.
Yeah, it's BMLSB69.
Yep, shout out to him.
Adam, you're next, sir.
Oh, I think it's something. I'll probably leave it to my feathered friends. Cluck, cluck, cluck.
Betty, final thoughts? Any admin?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a super chat from Retro Brill. He says, Horizon is the nail, Globe Earth is the coffin, and QE is the hammer.
Thank you, sir. Final thoughts, Betty?
Should I shut down my Discord server?
I don't think you have to shut it down. Remember, it is dead, but we need it for the new people coming in. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to expose all the lies and show the nature of our reality. So we need a canvas, and the ball-tards are our canvas, so we don't need to shut down. Make sure and tell Jose 24/7 he doesn't need to shut down either.
But someone told me that my server was a cesspool.
Yeah, I don't know who that was. Any other final thoughts?
Nope.
10th man.
I think Zanuck was the coup de grace. First he says there is no horizon beyond the second platform. Then when he actually looked at the picture, because he wasn't on the right screen, oh yeah, there is a horizon beyond the second platform. But I don't believe it was taken at 1 foot. Nothing will convince these baltards, not even the truth.
Thank you, sir. Nathan Oakley. Final thoughts, sir?
The horizon is not an actual location. It's not a physical edge. For all you fundies who think it's an edge, take us to your edge. It's an arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground and not your geometric, reified edge of a sphere. Also, be here or be sphere for Flat Earth debate starting now, pretty much, on Nathan Oakley channel, 10 p.m. UK time. Be here or be sphere, Nathan Oakley channel, Flat Earth debate, uncut and after show. Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome, sir. To the panel and to you, the audience members, thank you very much. The spinning ball-tard space monkey religion is DOA. Dead. Can't say it any other way. Thanks for coming, and I'll be back.